Peace, family. Hi, my picture was falling down as I went live. Good evening, family. Hello, happy Friday. Happy Friday, family. Good evening. Welcome back. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt, and I'm so glad to see you on today, Friday, February the 3rd, 2023, and the time is 6:25 p.m. So, hello, welcome. I'm so happy to see you all. I do not mind answering your question. Thank you so much for saying I look gorgeous. I appreciate that. Thank you. Check in, family. Oh my God, I discovered something so amazing. Y'all know I'm nosy, right? So, listen, when I was growing up, welcome in, family. Come on in, check in, let us know where you're checking in from, what state, what country, what city. Good evening. This is Dr. Kia. Happy Friday, as we say over here. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, depending upon where you are. When I was growing up, I grew up in my grandmother's house with my siblings and my cousins, who I call sister cousin and brother cousin, and some aunts and some uncles. And some of my aunts and uncles are just a few years older than I. So my Uncle Joe was my favorite uncle, but don't tell anybody. So Uncle Joe was the baby on my dad's side. So Uncle Joe would always call me Dippin' Debbie because I was always dipping, always in somebody's business, always listening to conversations, sneaking around a corner, peeking, seeing what people were reading, what they were talking about on the phone. I mean, he couldn't stand it. So he had this song about me. And so not only was I a Dippin' Debbie, but I'm ashamed to say, back then I had big feet. Like I was in sixth grade and I had a size 8 shoe. That was a woman size. So Uncle Joe and my cousins and my brother, they would snicker about me because I was so sneaky, right? Hi, I love you. Yes, I have so much to share tonight. So they would sing the song. My favorite Uncle Joe would sing the song about me. He would go, "Oh, Dippin' Deb, oh, Dippin' Deb, how lovely are thou big feet." He would make fun of me because I was always dipping in his business, dipping in grown folk business, dipping in all the boys and the guys' business in the family, sneaking to see what they were talking about. I'm just a dipping Debbie, right? And he would go on to talk about how my feet were bigger than the Golden Gate Bridge, harassing me like that. But the part I want you to focus on is me being a dipping Deb. So, hi, Houston. Oh, Wardolph, Maryland. Hello. Good evening. Oh, so many people are coming in. Hi, Western Pennsylvania in the room. So, he would always call me Dip and Dab. And when the guys would be talking, remember, he's only like 5 or 6 years older than I. So, he and my cousins and my brothers, they'd be sneaking around the corner talking about girls and about stuff that I wasn't supposed to know. And who was the illegitimate people in the family, and who was married to whom, and who had a baby by which person before they got married. And I was always finding a scoop. And then I would go and tell the other cousins, right? So I was always in trouble as a child. But being a Dippin' Debbie, woo child, it has really paid off. So, hi, everybody. Good evening. Happy Friday. So, hello, Ohio. I have some stuff to talk about with Ohio. I'm from Ohio. Hello, Ontario, Canada. So they would always call me Dip and Deb and say, "Stop talking. Here's Dip and Debbie." And my name's Kia, right? But I guess they call me Debbie because it, had a D like dipping. They like, "Here's Dip and Deb. Here she goes. Stop talking. She's gonna find out all the scoop and all the family business and all our secrets and go telling everybody." But that has paid off because I'm a snoop. And child, I was snooping today and discovered something great. So happy Friday. Hello, my sister Michelle. I am so happy to see you. That's my girl. We're in a secret group. We love each other so much. Yes. So, family, everybody's checking in and saying hello. I'm so glad to see you all, my soul family. Let me see. I don't want to miss anybody. Minnesota's in the house. Hi, Minnesota. Yes. Hey, hey, hey. Somebody's saying hey to their neighbor in Maryland. And hello from Michigan. So I was always a Dippin' Debbie. Being a Dippin' Debbie, though, has paid off for me because it made me read and study and, dig deeply into information that maybe everybody doesn't see. New Hampshire and Florida. Hi, Derek. I'm in Florida right now. I'm in Northern Florida. It's so good to see you. Free in 23. Hello, all. So I've been reading since before I started school. My mom used to make us read encyclopedias, dictionaries, and we had two sets back then. Y'all remember Encyclopedia Britannica? And then we had another set that was colorful, and we had dictionaries and newspapers. Back then, I grew up Muslim first before we know we and like Muslim and Hebrew at the same time. Don't ask me how, but first we were really studying Islam, and then we just really dove into the Hebrew part of my family. So my mom would have us to read the Balanian News, which is a newspaper for the Nation of Islam, and we would have to write reports for her from the Balanian News, both parts, both encyclopedias, and what else? Dictionaries. We had to write reports for her, and that just only made me enjoy reading even more. So I was reading before I started school, and they skipped me a grade, and they wanted to send me on to a private school that was just for girls, but my dad said no because it was a boarding school and they were going to give me a full scholarship. But my dad said no. He said, I don't want my daughter in a private boarding school where I can't go visit her and I don't know what's going on with her at night. Absolutely not. So I did not do that. However, I have a voracious love for reading, studying, and dipping, being a snoop into things that I probably should not be digging into. Hello, no, you're right on time. You're not late. You're right on time. Come on in. You're right on time. So, hi, South Carolina. So somebody asked me, what am I a doctor in? I'll get right into the news. Okay. I have a bachelor's degree in the social sciences. And because I really wanted to go into journalism, but they didn't offer journalism, I took a lot of English classes, but I focused on social sciences. And so what my counselor said for me to do, he was like, I think we can kind of you can create your own. Hell, good evening, Laura. You can create your own program. So I created a social sciences program, and I added political science, political science, psychology, sociology, and economics, all into like one program. And that's what I got graduated in my undergrad program from. Then I got a master's degree in counseling and rehabilitation, because I wanted to counsel, since I had a lot of people in my family who were addicted to drugs. And then also I just wanted to delve into the psychology of human beings and help people kind of move to the next level from wherever they are, not to necessarily just talk about their problems like psychotherapists, but to help them resolve their issues. So I got a master's degree in counseling. Then I got postmaster's studies, of EDS, in leadership studies. And then I got a doctorate in education and counseling, a doctorate of philosophy in education and counseling psychology. And so that program basically trained me to be a dean and a college administrator. But my passion has always been research. And even in that doctorate of philosophy program, you have to do extensive research. Not only do you have to do extensive research, but you have to write at a scholastic level, and you have to be examined by your whole committee, your doctoral dissertation committee, comprised of the most brilliant minds in your institution. So I had my chair was a distinguished professor. So a distinguished professor has the highest accolades. And then I had some other professors in my discipline. And then I had Dr. Ricky Jones, who was over Pan-African Studies. He was a part of my committee. And the reason why I added him is because my research examined the factors that help Black men or African-American men graduate from college. So I'm the only female expert in my area, the only female expert in the area of graduation and retention of African-American men. So I have done extensive studies in psychology, education, because again, my degree is in education and counseling psychology. I've also done studies, postgraduate studies in economics. So I was working on my master's degree in economics, but I have not finished a business economics and MBA, but I haven't finished that. So I have extensive studies that I I've done extensive studies. I also used to work for the San Francisco Examiner as a writer, an independent journalist. What else have I done? I'm a life coach. I'm a certified life coach out of the state of California. And so I am well studied. I'm well traveled. I've traveled to many countries. I'm a mother of many. I have 8 altogether. Plus, I was a foster mom at 19. I was one of the youngest foster moms in my state. I got married at 18 to my children's father, my high school sweetheart. So people are asking me about myself. That's why I'm giving you this information. I have always had a high level of expectation for myself. I have set a standard for myself that's very high for myself, my family, my children, and everybody around me. So I'm all about perfection and living up to a high standard of what they call propriety in everything you do, in everything and my thoughts, my meditations, and my behavior. And this is why I come on my platform and talk about being highly self-actualized, maximizing your potential as a human being, having high standards, being a distinguished person, full of integrity and honor. This is who I am. And I love it. I love who I am. And I love helping people reach what I call transcendence. So I know I'm highly self-actualized, and I've reached transcendence, and I'm helping others to reach transcendence, which means I'm helping other people become highly self-actualized. So this is for all the people who keep asking me, thank you, what's your degree in? What kind of doctor are you? And I don't blame you, because some people just want to know. Some people, they may just be a little curious. They may think you're not really a doctor. I don't know, but I don't want to make assumptions. I think that's a good question. I have nothing to hide. I'm a very open book. Okay. You can Google me. That's what I tell people. And it looks like I'm being smart, but you can Google Dr. Kia Pruitt or Kia Pruitt. You will see my dissertation. I graduated from a Research One institution, a top institution, that's highly acclaimed. The University of Louisville. I taught medical students verbal reasoning. Okay, I taught them how to pass the pre-medical students how to pass the verbal reasoning components of their MCAT, which is their medical college admissions test. So I've worked in higher education for many years. I worked at Shawnee State University, where I graduated from in my undergrad. I went to Berea first, then I went to Shawnee State, because my husband and we got married right after high school, went to college together in Berea. We was like, we need to go back home to Ohio. So we moved back home to Ohio, and I went to Shawnee State, pregnant, married, took all 4 of my children. I had 4 children while I was in college. All 4 of them went to classes with me. I worked as a presidential scholar. I had several scholarships in undergrad college. I had a presidential honor scholarship. I had a Dow Chemical some kind of scholarship. I had a scholarship for just several different excuse me, family, somebody's trying to call me. So I had like 5 national honor scholarship. I just had the presidential scholarship. So I did all that in undergrad school while having babies and married, and I was a minister in the church. I did a lot in undergrad school. So I was busy, and I always took my children with me. Then when I worked on my master's degrees, I took my children with me, and all of my children did programs from the time they were in preschool. They did programs on the college campus. They did pre-engineering programs. They did with the AutoCAD programs, because their uncle was an engineer, and his wife was a school teacher. She owned a school, and I was educated. So we had them in engineering programs. We had them in journalism programs. We had them in pre-medicine programs. And then when I worked for the medical school, I brought my children and their classes. I won Parent of the Year almost every year my kids were in school, because I took my children and their classes and took them on field trips. I organized field trips with their principals, and I brought them to the medical school. They got to actually see cadavers, which are dead bodies that medical students work on. They got to participate in a simulation clinic where we have mannequins, and they could actually touch on the mannequins and do exams on the mannequins and diagnose the mannequins. And we would tell them the mannequins had certain diseases, and my children were able to diagnose them along with the students in their from their schools. And At one time, my sister started a school. So we took our children out of public schools and we taught them in our own private school. So I taught English and literature and I was the counselor. So, I mean, I've done a whole lot of things. So I don't mind you asking me anything about who I am. Why do I know what I know? Who I think I am? You can literally Google Dr. Kia Pruitt or Kia Pruitt, but I'm just an everyday human person that just has high standards and high expectations for myself and my family. And I'm very serious about living a high level of perfection, or just being highly self-actualized. So that's why sometimes I may seem a little impatient when people say certain things on social media and they're fighting about little things. But that's neither here nor there. That's just an introduction about me. Somebody said, what's happening today? Right. So, yes, here's a little bit about me, because we didn't already talked about me, but people keep asking me questions like, I mean, I'll see it in the comments. What kind of doctor are you? And a doctorate in what? And PhD from where? And when I go on certain podcasts, they'll make fun of me. And I don't know what kind of doctor you think you are. Possibly because I'm a conservative and I don't believe in making excuses. I don't want to hear about slavery. This is just me about, how slavery makes you a person that cannot achieve. I don't like the victim mentality and whining and complaining. And that's just not me. So I always talk to people about, okay, this may have happened in the past. Where are you going to go now? How can we all work together to liberate humanity as a whole? So it irritates certain people that I talk like that. And I get it. Hi, Illinois, checking in. Hi. I get it. So when people ask me who you think you are, listen, I wanted to tell you, and I have done many leadership conferences. I used to work for medical school, so I did personal development workshops for medical students. I help medical students prepare for step USMLE board test for step 1 and step 2. I tutor students. I don't even know how I did this. I don't have a medical background, but again, I taught pre-medical students verbal reasoning so that they could pass the college admissions test to even become a doctor or a dentist, or to even get into medical and dental school. And I organized shadowing for college students so they could shadow doctors. I organized shadowing for my own children because when they were in school, I made them take classes in engineering. I made them go through the medical school programs. They were children when I made them do this. I have one son who was in 8th grade he got a future scholars fellowship scholarship he actually worked doing cancer research in 8th grade, and in 9th grade he did research in the physiology department with the department chair. So the creator has blessed me to be able to position myself to be blessed. The creator has positioned myself to be in alignment with certain people who can pass down information and pour into me. And this is one of the reasons why you won't hear me complaining about situations, complaining about things, because I believe we create change and we can take control of our own destiny. I'm also one of those type of women that love men, particularly. I love men. I know we have issues with men as women, and we've bought into feminism, but I love men because for me, men have provided discipline, they have provided structure, they have taught me many things, and iron sharpens iron. And when you can align yourself with good men and women who are smarter than you and highly educated and highly self-actualized, you allow yourself to be polished. So I had a good husband, I had people that dated me. They were always good men, strong men, very wise men. I had pastors who were wise. My brother-in-law was an engineer. My brother is a leadership expert and a minister all over of men from all over Northern California. So I love men. I think men are amazing. I mean, of course, I love women. I'm a woman, but men have sharpened me and actually made me become strong, because men sharpen you. They provide discipline. They don't accept excuses. They don't want to hear you moaning, complaining, or any of that. So that's Dr. Kia Pruitt in a nutshell. If you ever desire to hear more, I'm here for it. So this is what I want to talk to you all about today. Hold on. I got a phone call. Hold on, family. I want to show you something, because I Of course, I've been saying that I believe that behind the scenes, we are on the gold standard. Yes. So I love you too. I've been saying that. And then I need to do something right quick. Yeah, I was answering a question because people were asking me, what do I have a doctorate in? Am I really a real doctor? And by the way, my name Kia means in Egypt, not in Egypt, but Kia was the second wife of Akhenaten. She was called the Great Beloved Wife, and my name actually means king, and it means royalty in Persia. And from a Cherokee perspective, it means the foundation. So my mother told me early on what my name meant, and that was good because it kind of put me on a certain path to behave as royalty. I mean, she used to actually train me to sit and walk with my posture, a certain way, my stomach tucked in, my shoulders up, my head up, and you walk like that because you're royalty, because you're a lady, because you're a woman, because you are you're supposed to you're regal. So that's the way I was raised. But getting back to regal, you all know that CORONA, which is what they used to call that sickness that we had in 2020, actually means crown, right? That's the literal translation of it, as in gold, as in crown chakra, as in Christos, or moving to a golden era and ascending to a golden reality. So here we go. Yes, Kia is a car that means Korean imported automobile, and they were named far after me. I was named first, but it means, yes, they won't tell you why that it means Korean imported automobile, but I discovered that again because I'm nosy. So thank you. Somebody said that's beautiful. Thank you so much. So let's get back to the gold. So we're talking about gold. I want to look at this because I got some juicy news for you all. Thank you for being here. Share the video, like, subscribe to the channel, and share this information because I don't think people know this, but hey, that's what we're here for. We're here to raise the vibrations of the planet and to teach the nations so that they can be inspired and encouraged to create the most amazing life that they desire and deserve. So these are the 13 states that have introduced or passed legislation making gold and silver legal tender. Okay, let's get into it. Here are the states where gold, nope, is that it? Yes, that should be the states where gold and silver have become legal tender. So here you can look at that. That's at mintstategold.com. And I think you can see that. One second. I was getting a call, so let me check that. Hold on while you all look at that. Here are the states. Several states are beginning to accept gold and silver as cash. You see that. And this article was written in September the 8th, 2020. Several states are beginning to accept gold and silver as cash, and encouraging victory. 1 minute. For sound money has just taken place. You all can look at this list right quick. Hello. She's in there with Sarah and Rob. Okay. All right. Bye-bye. So I think you can see this list, but I'll read it for you, okay? These are the states that have introduced or passed legislation to make gold or silver legal tender: West Virginia, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Indiana, Missouri, Louisiana, Tennessee, and South Carolina. That's not all the news. Somebody say South Carolina, my state, no Democratic states. So yeah, that was passed in 2020, but that's not it. That's not it. So I said, okay, that's 13 states that have passed legislation to make gold and silver legal tender. But then today, It didn't say Florida, but I got some news about Florida. Then today, my girlfriend from Ohio, Karen, shout out to Karen, my girl, my homie that I went to high school with in Ohio, said, Kia, look at what I discovered. So she wanted to show me something about Ohio because Ohio wasn't on that list. So she showed me something. I'm going to get to the good news about how more states are on the gold standard that we don't know about. So here is what she showed me about the state of Ohio. And then we're going to get into the other states. Let's see what. Check this out. Oh my God. I was flabbergasted. This was published August the 30th, 2021. 1 second. Mia, check this basket to see if there's any dresses you can wear. You can come in a room if you want. I want to try this. Yes. So this, it says signed as law. Excuse me, I'm trying to do a couple things at once. This is about Ohio. Signed as law, Ohio takes steps towards treating gold and silver as money. Okay. So I won't get to the juicy part. That's just Ohio. So you all go ahead and keep talking to each other. Let me see. Published on August the 30th, 2021 by Mike Maharrey. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine has signed a bill into law exempting gold and silver bullion and coins from sales tax. It's important for them to exempt gold and silver or precious money from sales tax because you'll see later on, they'll say you're not supposed to tax money. So taxing money is unlawful. Gold and silver are money. So the new law will relieve some of the tax burdens on investors, and it will also eliminate one barrier to use gold and silver in everyday transactions, a foundational step for people to undermine the Federal Reserve's monopoly on money. House Bill 110, that's what it is, HB 110, the 2022-2023 Budget Appropriations Bill was introduced back in February. Provisions in the omnibus bill repeal the sales tax on gold, silver, platinum, and palladium bullion and coins. Did anybody else know this? Because I didn't know this. So shout out to Karen for showing me this. She's like, girl, I found this out. You from Ohio, you need to know this. DeWine signed the appropriations bill on June the 30th. The provisions relating to sales tax on precious metals go into effect on my birthday, October the 1st, which was the beginning of the fourth quarter and the beginning of a fiscal year. So it's interesting that they said it would go into effect on that particular October 1st. The state previously exempted the sale of gold and silver bullion from sales tax, but the legislature passed a bill levying a sales tax in 2019. According to the Sound Money Defense League, small businesses, coin conventions, income tax revenues, and investment activity began exiting the state due to the tax. So these efforts are common sense. We should not, let me go this. Look, these efforts are common sense. This was in Ohio. We should not be taxing money, Jordan said. Knocking down barriers. I'm going to just read a little bit more. Ohio became the 41st state to eliminate sales tax on silver, gold, and bullion. So you know why that's important? 41 states that sought to and actually eliminated the sales tax on gold and silver is important. And I'll tell you why, because states, here we go, in effect, states that collect taxes on purchases of precious metals are inherently saying gold and silver are not money at all. So if you're taxing, let me tell this person, I'll call him back. Everybody's calling me. If you're taxing gold and silver, then you're basically saying that it's not money, but removing taxes from gold and silver is essentially admitting that gold and silver are money. So here, repealing sales tax on precious metals takes a step towards treating gold and listen, repealing sales tax on precious metals, a precious metal bullion, takes a step toward treating gold and silver as money instead of commodities. Okay, listen. Okay, I know I'm excited, but I kept saying that we are on a gold standard behind the scenes, and gold and silver are real money. But that's not even the best part. Repealing sales tax on precious metals bullion takes the steps towards treating gold and silver as money instead of commodities. Taxes on precious metal bullion erect barriers to using gold and silver as money by raising transaction costs. So, putting a tax on gold and silver puts up a barrier for us to use it as money. So, let's use our deductive reasoning. We learned this in the sixth grade, right? So, if putting taxes on metals erect a barrier to using gold and silver as money, taking away taxes from precious metals, then now make it easier for us to use silver and gold as money because, again, in effect, states that collect taxes on the purchase of precious metals are inherently saying gold and silver are not money at all. So the opposite of that would be states that do not collect taxes on the purchase of gold and silver as money are inherently saying gold and silver are indeed and in fact money, Your Honor. Dip and dab on the scene. So I thought that was really important for us to know. And remember, they said 41, where is that? Ohio became, come on in, baby. Ohio became.
So cream with some strawberries?
No, you have to ask Auntie. Ohio became the 41st state to eliminate sales tax on gold and silver bullion. Well, that's interesting because the list that we saw previously only said that 13 states had introduced or passed legislation to make gold and silver to be used as legal tender. But that article was produced before this came out. Okay, that was 2020. This is August 2021. So this happened in Ohio. And then let me get down and it says, we ought not to tax money, and that's a good idea. It makes no sense to tax money, former United States Representative Ron Paul said during his testimony in support of an Arizona bill that repealed capital gains tax on gold and silver in that state. Paper is not money, it's fraud, he continued. So, if indeed, let's get out of here. So, if indeed we saw that there were 13 states that had introduced or passed legislation using precious metals as money, saying that precious metals are money and can be legally used as lawful tender or legal tender, and then we see that uh, this particular vote was to make it lawful for Ohio actually to remove sales tax from precious metals, which will essentially make precious metals be lawful to be used as legal tender. We know that states are now taking it upon themselves to make precious metals legal tender in America. And I brought this back up because I wanted you to see Ohio became the 41st state to eliminate sales tax on gold and bullion. So Ohio became the 41st state to do that. So that made me say, okay, if Ohio was the 41st state to eliminate taxes on bullion, what are the other states? Where are the other states? Let's see. And so what I did was, because I'm nosy, I'm dipping dead. I got to find out what's going on. Which states? So then I said, let me go ahead and Google something. Not that one. That's 2023, which exempted gold and silver in 2023. I want to look at something before that. Let's see. Nope, not that one. We're going to go and look at. So I just Googled it, period. Which states exempted taxes on precious metals, because I want to know which states are trying to use precious metals as gold and silver. I mean, as money. Which one did I do that? Was it this one? Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to find it. Gold and silver. Okay. Which states exempted gold and silver from sales tax? That's what I looked up. Which states eliminated gold and silver from, so it keeps coming up, the one from 2023. So what I did was I looked up which states exempted gold and silver from sales tax to find out which states actually no longer want to, which states desire to use silver and gold as money. I keep going to that one, but I'm not looking for that one just yet. That was 2023. Let me see which, this is the one I need. Hold on. This must be it. Here, okay. Several states. Okay, so here we go. I looked up which states are looking for an exemption on sales tax. But before I did that, I found a list that says sales tax rules state by state. So remember, it said that 41 states, that was the 41st state that sought to eliminate the sales tax. So I said, let's look at all the states. So there are 9 states then that still have taxes. So I said, I should ask my family to look at their own states to see if it has eliminated a sales tax yet. So let's look at this list right here, and you will see this came out. This was by Noble Gold Investments, and that came out. Oh, I don't see the year here. Well, probably I'll see it when we go down. So here are, if you can look up your state here, here's a list of sales tax rules state by state. In the list below, any figures shown are the statewide rates and are the minimum you can expect to pay. These do not include any county specific tax rates. This was before 2023, because when I looked up 2023, I was shocked. So here's your state. Alabama, no sales tax on bullion. Therefore, Alabama is essentially saying that gold and silver can now be used as money. Remember, we read that in the article before. Alaska, no sales tax at a state level. Arizona, no sales tax on bullion. Arkansas, 6.5% on all precious metals. California, 7.5% on transactions below 1,500. Colorado, no sales tax on most precious metals. Connecticut, 6% on purchase values below 1,000. Delaware, no sales tax. Florida, 6% on values below $500 with an exemption for legal tender. Georgia, no sales tax. Hawaii, 4% general excise tax paid by the seller, often added to the purchase price. Idaho, no sales tax. Illinois, 6.25% on South African cougar rands only. All other bullion is exempt. Indiana, no tax on high purity bullion, 7% on other types of precious metals. Iowa, no sales tax. Kansas, no sales tax. Kentucky, 6% on all orders. Louisiana, no tax on precious metals. Maine, 5% flat rate. Maryland, 6% on orders values below $1,000. Massachusetts, 6.25% on transactions below 1,000. Michigan, no sales tax on high purity bullion. You see this? Minnesota, 6.88%. Mississippi, 7%. Missouri, no sales tax on high purity bullion. Montana, no sales tax. Nebraska, no sales tax. We're looking on sales tax on precious metals or bullion. Silver, gold, palladium, platinum. Nevada, 6.85% with some exemptions. New Hampshire, no sales tax. New Jersey, 7%. New Mexico, 5% paid by the seller. Interesting, not paid by the people, but the seller. New York, 4% on transactions below 1,000. North Carolina, no sales tax. North Dakota, 5%, but with high purity bullion, exemption. Ohio, basic sales tax of 5.75% applied to silver and gold bezels. High purity bullion is exempt. And we just saw that it actually passed a law that there's no more sales tax on Ohio. Oklahoma, no sales tax on precious metals. Oregon, no sales tax on precious metals purchases. Pennsylvania, 6% on silver and gold coins, which are not legal tender. Bullion is exempted. Rhode Island, 7% tax applies only to bullion that's not been refined or smelted. Is it smelted or melted? South Carolina, most precious metals are exempt, but some coins and processed items attract 6%. South Dakota, no sales tax on investment grade bullion or legal tender. Tennessee, no sales tax. Texas, no sales tax. Utah, a 4.75% tax applied to bullion with purity below 50%. Vermont, 6% on all precious metals transactions. Virginia, 5.3% levied on all precious metals with no exemptions. Washington, no tax on any non-collectible precious metals. They call collectible precious metals numismatics, but no tax on any non-collectible precious metals. West Virginia, investment grade bullion and coins are exempt. Wisconsin, a 5% tax on all precious metal purchases. Wyoming, only a basic 4% rate on all precious metals purchases. So you can see many of the states actually have no sales tax. So I wanted to bring that to you all because I thought that was very, very interesting. But that's not all I wanted to show you. States since then, since that time, have now come forward and say we want to remove the sales tax from precious metals and use precious metals as money. And I'll tell you how we know. Let me show you this here. So this was just a quick Google, and I will delve into this deeper for you all later. But when I found this out, I just had to come before you to show you this. So I did a quick Google search, and let me see. Here we go. Several states consider repealing sales tax on gold and silver bullion. Interesting. Well, several states consider repealing the sales tax, and this was produced or published January 27th, 2022. Now, isn't that interesting? Several states consider repealing sales tax on bullion because, as we read, essentially when you put sales tax on precious metals, you're saying that they cannot be used as money. But so what, by deductive reasoning, if you remove the sales tax, then you're actually admitting that gold and silver are money, which essentially says that you can use it as legal tender. This is interesting because this article was published in, I think I said January 2022. Remember, in 2018, Representative Alexander Mooney introduced under number 45 as the commander-in-chief HR House Resolution HR 5404. That bill defined the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. That was in 2018. Then Alexander Mooney, or money, was just money with an extra O. Everything happens for a reason. This is all one big stage. It's all a play. It's all a show. All the world is a stage. Okay. So Alexander Mooney introduced that bill in 2018. And then October, around the 7th, 8th, 9th, something around there. One article said the 7th, another article said the 10th. Alexander Mooney in October 2022 reintroduced the same bill, but it was now called HR 9157, defining the dollar as a fixed weight in gold, which essentially says that now gold is money. And this is interesting. The first time he introduced that bill was in 2018. Remember, all banks had to become Basel III compliant in 2018. And Basel III compliances meant that gold had to become a tier 1 asset, which meant that now gold is money and not the dollar. So gold as a tier 1 asset, 2018, gold is now legal tender. Gold had to be used as money. Gold had to be used to back the positions of all the banks, which is why last quarter they bought gold in record numbers, 400 tons of gold in the amount, or above actually $32 billion. Why? And why is China buying up so much gold? Why are people all over the world buying up gold? Why are banks here in America using gold as money? Gold had to be defined as a tier 1 asset. Yes. This all is going together, is working together to bring us back to the gold standard. We've already talked at great lengths about how Putin left the USD, dropped the dollar. Once 46 put a sanction on him, and that triggered him leading other countries to do the same. He led the BRICS Union, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa to leave the dollar, which was fleeing the United States hegemony. We've already talked about that at length. We talked about Project Sandman and how, when triggered, that it was an agreement between every single country in the world that when triggered, they will all simultaneously drop the United States dollar, and then the dollar would plummet to zero, and all dollar denominated assets would then plummet to zero. Well, Putin was the trigger. When 46 put a sanction on him for going up to clean up Ukraine, Ukraine, 46 put a sanction on him. He left the United States dollar. Nothing happened to him. We didn't send no bombs over there. We didn't send our military after him. So then he led the BRICS Union to do that, all of those 5 nations. And then Saudi Arabia left, which was huge, because what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi Arabia that you give us the oil, we'll protect the Saudi kingdom, and then we'll force all other nations to use the United States dollar to trade for oil and for other things. But we were the bully. We were the big people in charge. And so we had what's called petrol status. We enjoyed petrol status with the petrol dollar status. So all those countries left. And when Saudi Arabia left, keeping in mind that what made the United States dollar the world reserve currency was our agreement with Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia leaving the United States dollar meant our agreement was over. So everybody was talking about this is the West against the East against the West. The East is, they're winning, and the West is going to be in shambles. Maybe initially or on the surface. Thank you so much, Patriot Cabo. Thank you. God bless you. Creator bless you for your love offering. I sincerely appreciate that. May you be blessed with long life, prosperity, and peace. So look beautiful, baby. When they left the United States dollar, we lost our status. Okay. But that's okay. Initially, it's going to be some shock, because when all the dollars come flooding back into the country, then the dollar loses its value, right? So when the dollar loses its value, gold and metals increase in value. And I've said it many times before, the dollar has lost 98% of its purchasing power. So yes, initially, everything might come to a halt. Everybody might start panicking, and, because banks have been in trouble. And when banks get in trouble, if the government can't bail them out, they'll do bail-ins, which means they've been taking people's money out, or people been going to the banks and their accounts been frozen. This is what you call an ICE 9 scenario. Jim Rickards, you can look at my video from yesterday or the day before. Jim Rickards, look at the video that talks about Project Sandman. Jim Rickards said what could happen when all the dollars come flooding back into our country is you will have high inflation, because the dollars are worthless. It loses all their purchasing power. And then the ICE 9 scenario comes from a book that talked about how water was seeping out into a stream, and everything that it flowed out to froze and became ice. So an ICE 9 scenario in our case is when all these dollars come flooding in to our country, everything will literally freeze. Your ATM card may not work. Your bank accounts may go missing. The stock market is going to crash. We talked about that at length. So this is why I bring you this information, so you can protect yourself, not to be worried, not to be stressed out, but to be proactive. Protect yourself. We talked about how you guys said you get tired of me talking about gold, silver, gold, like I'm a salesperson. Somebody called me a snake oil salesperson. Look, if you don't want to protect your assets by putting it into precious metals, find another way to protect your assets. Land, farms, businesses. Take the money and keep it liquid cash in case, when the market crashes, you can buy something. Hold on to, hey, babe, I'll move this out the way. Hold on to some coins, because coins, people see coins as metal, as money, because it's minted by the United States Mint. But what I'm trying to say is, it may look like America is not in the standing, not in the running, is not going towards the gold standard. But that is not the case. We've had these bills that have been presented to us, and now I want you to see several states consider repealing sales tax on gold and bullion. This is important. I will put this article in the description section. January 27, 2022 by Shift Gold. Right? Because we saw first, it looked like there were only 13 states that have introduced or passed legislation to legalize, to use gold and silver as legal tender, or to legalize the use of gold and silver, which you really don't even need because the Constitution defines the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. The Constitution states that you can only use gold and silver as money. So creating these bills, passing these bills and doing that, that's all something that they're doing in order to just make sure they go through certain channels for people who need to see that. Because if they just completely erase the system and say, hey, we're going to gold and we're going to silver, people have an issue with that. So they're very smart and very wise in taking the proper steps by introducing bills and passing bills to get this done. And it's a smooth transition when you do it that way. So excuse my excitement. It's just really good news for me because it's proof that we're moving towards or we're on the gold standard. So several states are considering bills to repeal the sales tax on precious metal bullion during the 2022 legislative session. Did anybody know that that was happening? Did anybody know that these bills were being repealed? Because I had never heard this before. I actually did some digging. Several states are considering bills to repeal the sales tax on precious metals during the 2022 legislative session. That was just last year, like a few months ago. Passage into law would relieve some of the tax burdens on investors and will also take a step toward treating gold and silver as money instead of as commodities. So before, people were talking about commodities, a basket of currency backed by commodities, but they wouldn't say gold. They wouldn't say these currencies would be backed by gold. I don't know if I thought it was because they just were afraid to admit that we were moving toward the gold standard, but perhaps it was because this legislation had not passed, or these bills had not passed. So passage into law would relieve some of the tax burdens on investors and would also take a step toward treating gold and silver as money instead of commodities. In Kentucky, Representative Killian Timoney and Representative Norman McCourt introduced House Bill 272 on January 11th. Now, isn't it interesting that in 2022, they had us talking about what was going on in the media, what was going on with R. Kelly, and we were just coming off the heels of George Floyd that happened in 2020, and people are still talking about that. We were coming out of the pandemic, and all kind of things were just happening in 2022. People were trying to still say bad things about Trump, and just last year, a lot was going on that had our mind focused on certain things. But what's really going on is that people were at work bringing back our republic, restoring our republic, and bringing back the use of silver and gold as money. So let's see, bullion is the legislation would exempt currency or bullion sold or purchased from the state sales tax. Bullion is defined as bars, ingots, or coins, which are made of gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and valued based on the content of the metal, not its form. This includes coins that have been used as medium of exchange, security, or commodity by any state, the United States government, or a foreign nation. So here you go. That was Kentucky, January 11th. Mississippi did the same thing. Representative Brady Williamson introduced House Bill 729, the Mississippi Sound Money Tax Removal Act. Did anybody know this? Kentucky introduced a bill. Mississippi introduced a bill. Tennessee introduced a bill, Bill 1874, on January the 20th. This is interesting. The proposed law would exempt certain coins, currency, and bullion from the state sales tax. A bill was introduced in Hawaii during the 2021 session, and it will carry over into 2022. This is interesting. New Jersey introduced a bill. New Jersey will also continue deliberation on a bill introduced in the last session. Representative Ronald Dancer introduced Assembly Bill 5285. The legislation would exempt the sale of certain investment metal bullion and coins from sales tax. Alabama, look at all these states. And Alabama bill would expand and extend the current sales and use tax exemption on the sale of gold and silver. This is so awesome. That bill number is SB Senate Bill 13. The legislation would extend the sales tax exemption on gold, silver, platinum, and palladium passed in 2018 from 5 years to 10. Virginia, here's another state, passed a bill that would extend a sales tax exemption on the sale of gold and silver bullion and coins. This is House Bill number 3, HB 3, introduced November 29th. What else? It says a 2018 law exempted the sale of gold, silver, and platinum bullion or legal tender coins over $1,000 from the state sales tax. This exemption is scheduled to sunset on June 30th. This is the summer of last year, 2023. A committee amendment extended this sunset date 5 years to June 30th, 2027. So all of those states introduced bills to exempt sales tax from precious metals. So it goes on further to say knocking down barriers. To date, 41 states have eliminated sales tax on gold and silver bullion. The only states still living with taxes on the sale of precious metals are these states here: Vermont, New Jersey, Maine, Tennessee, Kentucky, Wisconsin, New Mexico, Mississippi, and Hawaii. The District of Columbia also taxes physical gold and silver. Sales tax on gold and silver raise investment costs. Repealing these taxes knocks down one barrier that might keep some investors from considering physical metals for their precious metals. So, in effect, states that collect taxes on purchases of precious metals act as if gold and silver are not money. In effect, states that collect taxes on purchases of precious metals act as if gold and silver aren't money at all. And this is why states are introducing bills to repeal taxes on precious metals. So it looks like we are very close. Somebody said we have trolls in here. We look like, no, it doesn't look like. We have states, essentially almost all of them, that have introduced or passed legislation using gold or silver as legal tender, or introducing the repeal of taxes on bullion, which essentially then would make precious metals to be able to be used as money. So can you see how wonderful this news is, that things are moving on behind the scenes when everybody is asleep, and they're talking about police shootings, and they're talking about what's going on in the media, and talking about things that, don't really move us into the golden era. So finally, I wanted to bring another article. Let's see what this is. Did I get that one? There's another article I wanted to show you because, I did a Google search. I did a Google search. Let me show you what I looked. I typed in what states exempted gold and silver from sales tax in 2023. And this is what I thought. So that article that we just read was produced in 2020, was talking about what happened in 2022. So then I Googled what states repealed, exempted gold and silver from being used as money in 2023. So This is important because 2023 just started. Yes. So when I looked up which states, let me see if I can make that big. Can you see that? Which states exempted gold and silver from sales tax? We just read that article earlier, but let me see. Where's the 2023? Nope, that's not the one because there's another one where it actually talks about, oh, here it is. Here it is. 2023. That's a different one. Let me get to this one. This one then talks about how in January of 2023, other states have come forward to repeal taxes on precious metals, but I haven't found that. Let me see which states. Let me see if I can find that. This might be it. Nope, that's not it. Dang, I cannot find that. So what we're going to do, I want you to, oh, that's on another. So Google which states, I can't pull it up, but I'm going to read it. So I looked up which states exempted gold and silver from sales tax. And what I saw is New Jersey, the legislative session runs from 2022 to 2023. I see that. I saw Minnesota. I'm just going to bring up these articles so you can see them. Here's Minnesota. Here you go. I'm going to bring up Minnesota. This is in 2023. Here's one right here. Let's go to we're just going to go to the states. Minnesota. This is in 2023. January the 16th, 2023. Nobody told us about this. At least I didn't hear about it. Minnesota lawmakers seek full sales tax exemption of gold and silver. Legislators in the land of 10,000 lakes seek to fully exempt gold and silver coins from Minnesota's state sales tax, ending its controversial and discriminatory practice of taxing one type of bullion but not another. So this is House Representative Olson and Senator Draham introduced HF 106 and SF 373 respectively. Minnesota doesn't tax the purchase of other investments, stocks, bonds, ETFs, currencies, gold and silver bullions, and other financial instruments. Gold and silver coins are held as forms of saving and investment. Taxing precious metals is unfair to certain savers and investors. So this is 2023. This is this year. This was just like 2 weeks ago. So that's one state. We're going to get out of there and I'm going to show you other states that have done the same. That was Minnesota. Now let's go to who else? 2023, Alaska. Here's Alaska. I'm just showing you what's been going on in 2023 to eliminate taxes from precious metals, which again essentially makes precious metals to be lawfully used as money. So here you go. Let's go. Where's Hawaii? Did I say Hawaii? Let me see if I can get there. We did Minnesota. I'm trying to find, I think I said Hawaii. Doesn't want me to bring it up. I did Minnesota. Dang. Okay, we did Minnesota. Let's get out of Minnesota and go to Hawaii. Minnesota. I mean, Alaska. Here we go. Alaska. There we go. That's Alaska. So I'm going to give all of these to you so you can see these. I think I have on tab up too many tabs. Here we go. Alaska. Bill introduced in Alaska House would exempt gold and silver from state taxes. When was this? Okay, January the 12th, 2023. You see that? January, 2 weeks ago. What, three weeks ago? A bill introduced in the Alaska House would exempt gold and silver bullion from local sales tax and make them both legal tender in the state. Oh my God. So it might seem like I'm stretching here, but when you eliminate sales tax from precious metals, you make it legal tender in the state. Legal tender means that it can be used lawfully as money in the state. So we've been talking about other countries, and it may have looked like this did not matter in America, but it does. So on the one hand, while these dollars are flooding back into our country and the US dollar is deflating and it has lost 98% of its purchasing power and is plunging to near zero, and all dollar denominated assets will also plunge to zero. On the other hand, and I keep saying we have two systems really running side by side. On the other hand, you have the white hats. You have the people in high places who are doing God's work and are working on behalf of we the people. They are right now restoring the republic and restoring us back to the Constitution and constitutional law, which means we will be using gold and silver as money, which means that we too are moving to the gold standard. So we won't be left out, family. We're going to be on the gold standard, just like our brothers and sisters all over the world. So those were other states. And I just want to make a case, family, that's not it. Those are not the only states. Let's see, what else? So what I did again was I tagged in which states exempted gold and silver from state taxes. Sorry, I can't get my words out. So that was Minnesota. We looked at Alaska. Let's see. And I'm going to go to the next page and see what else is here in 2023. Okay, there's Minnesota. And there are other states. So what I want to do for you is put that in the description section so you can read all the states that have either repealed state taxes, or they have already done it, or they introduced a bill to do it. So what I need for you to know is that the white hats are in control, the creator is in control, God is in control, and we have essentially behind the scenes moved to the gold standard. And I can say this confidently because the Constitution for the United States of America defines the dollar as a fixed weight in gold. And according to the Constitution, certain sections of the Constitution, you may only use gold and silver as money. So introducing bills and passing bills is a process that they are going through in order to be legal. Okay, but lawfully, it's already done. We already know the law. And as the republic is being restored, we will move towards the gold standard just like the rest of the world. But it just had to play out in a way where everybody can digest it, and it had to go through a proper procedure or proper channels. Now, as I brought forward to you earlier today, Motu Proprio was a letter that actually was written by the Pope Francis, and given to then President Obama in 2014, on July 4th, 2014. And that letter basically said that the United States has been operating as a corporation, that it was incorporated in 1871 in the state of Delaware as a nonprofit religious organization. And what Pope Francis said was, we have to all cease and desist. He said all lawyers, all judges, all policy enforcers. Well, he said police officers, but that's policy enforcers. Anybody working for the British throne and or the British Bar Association or the American Bar Association must cease and desist, because we're all unlawful. And he said, if we don't stop immediately, everybody will be arrested, and General Ham will be put as the general in charge of the GAR, or the Grand Army of the Republic, to take down the deep state, but he called it the United States Incorporated. He said every president that has served, including Obama, has served as president of a corporation and not a country. He also called Obama a foreign entity. So you need to look at that video, please, that I put up earlier today, because I go into how Pope Francis, I can't say I said he predicted it, but it was actually, he was foretelling us what was going to happen and what actually was had to happen. And the reason why he did that is not necessarily because, he's so benevolent, but they always tell you what they always, they tell you what they're doing, and they tell you the truth about what's really going on. Because it's a part of their laws that they have to tell you what they're doing. And so if you want to hear about how Pope Francis said this would happen, that we would be returned to the Constitution, returned to the Republic, our lawful government, and all these people, these actors and lawyers and judges and policy enforcers, how they all have to cease and desist, then look at this video here. Pope Francis predicted the collapse of the United States. You can go to my channel, look at the top, you'll see live streams, you'll see popular, you'll see videos. Go to lives and you look at my live that was produced today on February the 3rd, about 9 hours ago. And I'll put this in the description section. Pope Francis predicted the collapse of the United States. I read the letter, motu proprio, and I also show it to you. So again, he wasn't being benevolent. He was just letting you know it's a wrap for us. It's a wrap. The United States Incorporated is collapsing, is what he was basically saying. And my time is up. And that's why you started seeing things happen, after that. After 2014, you saw 45 come in on 2016. And then you saw all these people try to say he was racist. And you saw all these people try to say he was colluding with the bear in that country over there. You saw a lot going on where they tried to bring up charges against him because he was chosen as the commander-in-chief to work alongside the White Hats or the Grand Army of the Republic to take down these nefarious beings who had enslaved the planet, who had taken us off the gold standard, had us using fiat dollars, who had utilized the central banking system to entrap us, to keep us in debt. So he was basically letting us know that the time was up. Okay, that's not the one I was trying to share. The gig was up for them and for the deep state. And so we see this actually happening. And we just didn't know. We just didn't know at the time what was happening. Let me see if I have this actual motu proprio letter. Pope Francis letter. Here it is. It doesn't want to come up. Let me see if I could bring it up. So the policy enforcers must cease and desist because police officers are not lawful. They are a corporation. They're an unlawful entity. Policy enforcers enforce the policies of the United States Incorporated, that nonprofit religious organization that was registered in the state of Delaware. They enforce those policies, statutes, and codes that relate to them. They enforce policies and laws that Congress create for it, not laws, statutes and codes of so-called laws, of fake laws that the Congress people created. But remember, according to Nasara, policy enforcers, they must cease and desist. Lawyers and judges, just like Pope Francis said in motu proprio, the letter, they must cease and desist and be retrained in constitutional law if they desire to continue making laws for us. And the reason for that is because a lot of them did not work on our behalf. Were not working for we the people. Additionally, a lot of them have Esquire behind their name. And when you have Esquire behind your name because you're a lawyer, that means that you graduated from college, which is great. And we love our family members that have law degrees. It's just that the Esquire, once you graduate from law school, you have to pass the bar, the British Accredited Registry. The bar is the British Accredited Registry actually serves the Queen and the British throne. So when you have that title of nobility, you are operating under the bridge or the umbrella of the British crown. So you work for the crown, not for we the people. Also, when you have a title of nobility, or you're a noble, or you're an esquire, you are above the people. You feel better than the people. You actually are in that type of society above the people. So if you are have a status that's above the people as a nobleman, you're not going to write laws that benefit the people. You're going to write laws that benefit the British throne. So all of the Congress people that have Esquire behind their name must cease and desist, as Pope Francis said, and or if they want to serve us, good evening, they have to be retrained in constitutional law. Thank you, Marshawn. Creator bless you. I really appreciate all of you that are sending me super chats, stickers. You donated to my Cash App and just blessed me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you supporting the work. You don't know how it makes me feel so happy to see, monetary blessings. Thank you. So somebody said, get out. Yes, get out. So thank you so much. All of these must cease and desist, just as Pope Francis said. And if they desire to work for we the people, they have to be retrained in constitutional law. So again, a lot of this was foretold or predicted by Pope Francis. I'm going to put this in the description section. We talked about this. It says Pope Francis sent Obama a powerful letter via attorney, by way of attorney, July 4th on Independence Day, 2014. I keep saying these days are really important. Independence Day is important. Freedom Day, which was February the 1st, is important. And people like to say they don't want to pay homage to Independence Day. You really need to do some studies, because it's really, that day has significance actually to the indigenous people here in America. And who was that? Chief Rod Hayes talked to us about that in the interview that I did with him. So look for that interview, and he'll talk about how a lot of these days were actually indigenous people's days that we once celebrated and still celebrate, but we may have a new spin on it. So he wrote this letter on July, I'm getting tired, 4th, 2014. So it talks about how the United States was turned into a corporation in 1871, and how it was an unlawful corporation with their own constitution, but how Pope Francis had sent a letter to Obama saying he needed to step down because he was not the lawful president of America. When I first put up this video talking about this morning, YouTube said your video is not appropriate for monetization. It had all these red marks on it that they weren't going to fund me and all that. So then I just walked away. I just said, God, it's all right. I have to get this information out. Even if they don't monetize the channel, I have to do what I'm commissioned to do. But just so you all know, you can find me on Rumble at just type in Dr. Kia Pruitt. You'll find me on Rumble. You'll find me on True Social. You'll find me on Getter. You'll find me on Twitter. You'll find me on Telegram as Dr. Kia Pruitt. So when I took a step back, and then I went to do something, and I came back and I saw that they fully monetized my video. So we give all praise to the Most High for that. But in case they do take down my channel or demonetize, you all know where to find me. So he goes on to talk about how if it becomes necessary, they will put General Ham as the general of the Grand Army of the Republic to arrest these people, these entities who have been operating, who are actually foreign domestic, traitors, and that they have enslaved the people, and that they will be arrested if they don't cease and desist. And it goes on to say that Obama was under a contract to provide services for the corporation, and he was on their payroll. He otherwise acts as a foreign dignitary representing the United States of America minor, the corporation. In neither of these capacities is he allowed any granted authority to impose upon American state citizens, endanger American state property, or command mercenary forces on American state soil, however veiled as federal civilian service agencies. So he says we require the Joint Chiefs of Staff and General Ham to commence measures to disarm federal civilian agency personnel and to seize control of the vast stockpiles of arms which have been improperly amassed by the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA and other agencies. He said, we direct the Joint Chiefs of Staff to communicate these first two general civil orders directly to President Mr. Obama, the members of the United States Congress, the administrators of all federal agencies, the members of the Supreme Court, and those acting as governors to compel their rapid understanding and cooperation. He goes on to say, any and all corporate officers of the United States, all capital letters, the corporation, or any successor inheriting federal service contracts who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states or against American state citizens shall be subject to arrest and prosecution for commercial and violent crimes. All foreign officials operating as elected or appointed officials of the United States minor, that corporation, who support, condone, or promote such crimes against the American states shall be subject to arrest, confiscation of their assets. Remember, Executive Order 138/18, which confiscated the assets and froze the assets of people who participated in crimes against America, and they will be deported to Puerto Rico. Where is Guantanamo Bay? I mean, is that Puerto Rico? Let's see. Oh, it's in Cuba. Okay. So I just wanted to see where that was. So they shall be subject to arrest, confiscated of their assets, and deported to Puerto Rico, Guam, or other states as may be willing to receive them. So they're supposed to be deported. These foreign officials include members of the American and British Bar Association who were licensed to act as privateers against the interests of the American states and the American state citizens from 1845 to 2013 in flagrant breach of trust. Flagrant breach of trust. All such licenses are now extinguished. That's coming from the Pope, because he owned the corporation. They are now extinguished. Members of the Bar Association are required to cease and desist assaults against the American states and American state citizens and shall be subject to arrest, confiscation, and deportation otherwise. So he sent out this letter, but nobody stopped. They didn't cease, they didn't desist. And so what he said is they're not operating on behalf of we the people. They don't care about the people. Now, our friends and family members that are lawyers and judges and those that work for the corporations, the FBI, the CIA, the IRS, and all those corporate entities really believe that they are working for we the people. For the most part, most of them, they didn't know and they weren't told, except the Pope sent this letter. Well, since they did not cease and desist, then what you saw happen was what we call the white hats of the military took control. The white hats of the military is another word for the Grand Army of the Republic. Thank you. Oh, somebody said. So let me get back to that. You guys keep talking to each other. We'll get back to that. Excuse me. So they had to be confiscated. Oh, I'm sorry. So insomuch corporate officers operating the United States of America Incorporated, remember, bloodline families took over the Republic, usurped the Republic. Although Republic is still operating, it's just operating underground. They're actually running side by side. A lot of people don't know that. The Republic is still operating and running, but it's not online. It's not in front. It hasn't been fully restored. It's not official yet that it's been announced. It hasn't been announced. So insomuch as corporate officers operating the United States of America Incorporated and the United States have contrived under conditions of fraud and semantic deceit to revenue the estates of the American states and the living American state citizens to the foreign jurisdiction of the United States of America minor, they are found guilty. They are found guilty of capital crimes including acts of fraud and treason committed between 33 and 1945, and are condemned posthumously. For those who don't know what posthumously mean, let's look it up. Posthumously. They are condemned posthumously after the death of the originator. So, what else does it mean? That's all they want to give me. After the death. So I guess even though those people that created those laws are dead, they're still condemned. Maybe that's what it means, but they're condemned posthumously. No enforcement upon any American state or American state citizen is owed as a result of an act or any Congress operating as the sovereign government of the United States of America, nor as the board of directors or board of trustees of any incorporated entity whatsoever. Are we almost done? So it goes on. I'll just try to summarize to say that if you tried to represent us and you were unlawful, then you're condemned and your assets will be frozen and it will be returned to the lawful beneficiaries. Let's see, what else? We note that the current circumstances is in part the result of criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago. We note that the current circumstance is in part the result of criminal acts engaged in 150 years ago, which resulted in the commercial enslavement of African Americans who were summarily claimed as chattels backing United States debt in the wake of the Civil War. 150 years, what do you say? Criminal acts were engaged, criminal acts upon African Americans who were used as chattel property or chattel slaves that backed United States government debt in the wake of the Civil War. Despite every action of abolition and declaration of prohibition against both peonage and slavery, it has been a policy of the United States government to enslave its citizens and to operate as a rogue state among the nations of the world. So the way somebody explained this to me a while ago was in 1865, when they ended slavery or chattel slavery, what some nefarious beings did at that time then was to make a decision to actually enslave all of Americans and to enslave the citizens of the world by bringing on the Federal Reserve System and banking systems and banking practices, taxes, and all those things to keep us bound to them and to keep us from progressing as a human race or as a people or as sovereign beings. So, has been a policy of the United States government to enslave its citizens and to operate as a rogue state among the nations of the world. Instead of freeing African Americans, the sum total result of the Civil War was to vastly expand public sector ownership of slaves. That's what I'm talking about. So instead of, they said they were freeing the slaves or chattel slavery into that, but they expanded ownership of slavery, giving rise to the outrageous and improper claims that have been made against the American states and the American state citizens that we're dealing with today. It is uniquely fitting. In conclusion, it is uniquely fitting that the Grand Army of the Republic is called to settle this circumstance in favor of the people. So what we saw was the Pope actually saying that everybody that was operating along with the United States Incorporated had to cease and desist. And if not, then General Ham, who was selected to lead the Grand Army of the Republic, or the White Hats of the military, would lead this arrest of these deep state actors. And he was in charge of demolishing the deep state that we also call the cabal, or the United States of America Incorporated. So again, General Ham was put in charge of that. And the reason why, I want to show you why Pope Francis was able to send this letter. It stated in here, most truth seekers know that the Republic of the United States was turned into a corporation in 1971. And the United States Corporation is ultimately, or was ultimately, owned by the Vatican. This is what gives the Pope or the Vatican the authority in this letter. So he had the authority to write the letter and send that letter by way of his lawyers because he owned that unlawful corporation. Now you can look up General Ham. He is a general from the military. He retired in 2012, I think it was. This letter was written in 2014. So it makes sense that he retired in 2012 and then a couple of years later he was to take over as the person to lead the army or the white hats in the military to take down the deep state. And I first learned about this around 2015, 2016 from the Grand Sheik of the Moors. And you can find the Grand Sheik of the Moors on Dr. G's channel, which is called the House of Reawakening Minds, or the official House of Reawakening Minds on YouTube. So this gentleman by the name of Grand Sheik Taj Tariq Bey goes into detail about who the Moors are, how the Moors came into power, how they were the indigenous people of the Americans, how they're the copper-colored people. And I went into my video earlier today to talk about how the 1828 definition of American is actually the copper-colored people that were here before Columbus. Copper-colored people found in America by Columbus, but now applied to Europeans. The 1828 Webster's definition of American lets you know that the so-called Black people or the African Americans were actually the Aboriginals or AB originals or the original people of America. And if you read history and you study, you will know that that story that all of us came from Africa on slave ships is not the truth. When we talk to our ancestors and our forefathers and our parents and great grandparents, they all told us that we had Indian in our family, or that they tell us what tribe that we came from and our bloodline is from. And a lot of us actually knew this until we went to the schools and studied the books that were passed down by the Rothschilds that told us that we came from slavery. And then Hollywood created these movies that talked about how we all came from Africa on slave ships as chattel property. And one of those most popular movies was called Roots, which was written by Alex Haley. And Alex Haley talked about his ancestors, Kunta Kinte and Kizzy, and all these amazing names he came up with. And so that story was like a saga, and they created stories after that, thereafter that became wildly popular to teach people that look like me that you came from Africa and that Caucasian people brought you over here to make you a slave and to beat you and rape you and all that. Whereas when you study real history and you actually look at the records of your own people, which I did, none of my people were ever slaves. They were all landowners on both sides of my family and both sides of my children's family. So you all need to look at Dane Calloway's YouTube channel. I'm just here to make you think, because he talks about how a lot of the stories were lies, which is why you can never find a slave ship. And also Chief Rod Hayes and we dived really deeply into that story and how we're actually the indigenous people from America, which is why which I studied this, that the United Nations actually named us the oldest indigenous people on the planet in 1990, the African Americans here. So Alex Haley was actually sued later on by Harold Courlander, Courlander. And he was sued because Alex Haley, according to the lawsuit that Harold Courlander actually won, stated that Alex Haley lied about this root story coming from Africa in slave ships, lied about the whole thing, and actually stole the characters from Harold Courlander's book called The African. That's called plagiarism. He lied about that story and actually had to pay Harold Courlander money because he lied. That story was actually something that Hollywood came up with in order to get into the minds of the indigenous people here called African American, to instill within us this victim mentality, so you wouldn't notice that your family actually were the inhabitants of this land. And what they really wanted to do was to create race wars against the indigenous people, or the so-called African American people here, and our Caucasian brothers and sisters. But if you got to look at that that interview that brother Chief Rod Hayes and I did on my channel. It was on my channel. It was amazing. And shout out to young, what's his name? The young elder. It was on his channel, and I put a copy on my channel. Young elder did a phenomenal job of hosting that conversation between Chief Rod Hayes and I. So what happened was, we indigenous people here were actually called copper colored, which is why when Columbus came here, Columbus actually was also a brown person, copper colored person. Everything you were taught was in reverse. Another channel you should look at is Moors in America. So look at Dane Calloway and I'm Just Here to Make You Think channel, Moors in America channel on YouTube, and the original official House of Reawakening Minds. But and Young Elder, because he hosts Chief Rod Hayes a lot. So Rod Hayes and I we did a deep dive into this. So the original people here were the copper colored people, and that's why the definition at 1828 Webster's definition of American is the copper colored people found here by Christopher Columbus, but now applied to the Europeans. So we were considered indigenous and aboriginal, and then our classification was changed to colored, and then Negro, and then Black, and then African American. So it's interesting because you can actually look at some of the old birth certificates of so-called Black people, and it would say indigenous, or then later on it would say colored. And if you did another one years later. What happened was they kept changing our classification so we didn't understand, or overstand that we were indigenous to this land. And by doing that, they could take the land away from us, which is why, and I don't mean they as in Europeans or all Caucasians. I mean a faction, a group of beings that did this to us, which is why Empress Bertie Asti Gaston L. Turner Bay took the United States corporation to court, to the world court, and said, you stole land. The Louisiana Purchase was not a purchase, it was a theft. You stole the land from the Washita or Oshita people, or the indigenous people of this planet, and would not let them know that this is the land of their people. So we were indigenous, we were Native, then colored, then Negro, then Black, then African American. So we didn't become Black until the 60s. And around that time, I remember, because I was born in the 60s, and I remember my aunts and uncles right in the 70s, they did not like being called Black. It was a derogatory term. And as I got older, I understood and overstood why they hated that term. Because Black, when you do the etymology of the word, means blank, bleak, void, pale, non-existent, slave. And according to the law dictionary, it means that you have no legal standing. You have no standing in law. Basically, you're a slave. So they didn't like being called Black until Hollywood, which is also funded by these bloodline families, commissioned James Brown to come up with that song, Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. And when you say it over and over long enough, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. People start to say, yeah, I'm Black and I'm proud. Well, we never liked being called that. We're indigenous to America. And then they say that Jesse Jackson was commissioned around 1974 to change our classification to African American. If you study Walter Plecker, you know he was over the Census Bureau, and you know that he encouraged other Census Bureau directors to change our classification to make us forget that we are actually from the land here. According to Chief Rod Hayes, in a deep dive he and I did, he studied this extensively. We welcome the Europeans to come here because they were escaping the brutality of the British Moors. Excuse me, British Moors, because the British Moors actually controlled Europe. Remember, they got kicked out of Spain in 1492. And it's interesting that they came here in 1492 when they got kicked out of Spain. So they came here in 1492, and they did bring some Europeans. Actually, some of the Europeans came over here to escape what was going on over here. And my understanding from hearing Chief Ron Hayes is that we actually welcomed them here. And actually, the Moors in America gentleman, Lloyd Michael Douglas, on our interview, Who Are the Moors? I'll put all that in the description section, actually talked about how we welcomed them here. And the reason why they were trying to escape what was going on in Europe was because the Moors that were in control over there, that was giving them a hard time, brutalizing them, and enslaving them. So nobody wants to talk about how there were brown or copper colored people or dark skinned people who enslaved people too. They were trying to escape certain things that were going on there that deals with children. They got kicked out of Europe for doing things with children. The same reason they're getting kicked out of America and getting kicked out of places all over the world for what they are doing to our children is the reason they got kicked out of Europe, according to this deep dive and this education that Chief Rod Hayes gave me. Now, these Moors, some of them that were enslaving people all over the planet were actually either non-human people or they were non-human hybrids, the same entities that have enslaved the planet worldwide. So when they came to America, they actually just infiltrated with the copper colored people here, infiltrated and blended in to pretend like they were us, and they utilized some of the European people to fight. No, first of all, they put them in certain places in banking and education and stuff, put them over the indigenous people here. Okay, you have to look at that deep dive. So then it's interesting. The Moors, a faction of the Moors did that. So then the feathers, the indigenous people of the planet who understood that they came here because they looked like us and infiltrated and kind of, melted into the fabric of the land. Then many of us then utilized some of our Caucasian European allies to then go into these organizations to find out what those nefarious beings were doing. Okay, you have to look at that deep dive. And a lot of things that we were told was so to make us angry was not true. So a lot of the Europeans who would do stuff like blackface when they were acting and stuff, they were trying to awaken us and let us know that it's not us, it's not the Caucasians y'all think that's enslaving this place. I know people don't want to hear this. It's not. It's the Moors, it's the dark-skinned people that came here that were kicked out of Europe, that were kicked out of other places that came here. So they were trying to tell a story and wake us up, just like people all over the world. They know that we're the indigenous people over here. So it's just so much going on, in other words, that you all need to know. And this is why Donald Trump said, the Moroccan Empire were the first to recognize us as a people, because the people that were here, the so-called Moors, the Moroccan Empire, the empire that extended from America all over the world, really did acknowledge the Europeans that came here. They acknowledged them as their own colonies, their own nations, and that is the United States, lowercase states of capital America, the United States of America, the United States of Amorica, the United States of the Moroccan Empire. They had their own nation. They were allowed to come here to practice their religion, to practice their culture, and to do trade and commerce. We indigenous people had a treaty, or many treaties, with the people that came here from Europe, one of which is called the Treaties of Peace and Friendship. So I don't want to bore your patience. There's just so much going on. There's just so much to tell. But the purpose of me coming on today was talk about how America is on the gold standard behind the scenes. There have been many bills that have been put forward, introduced, and or passed, even since that one publication that I've been showing you of 13 states that have already passed legislation to use gold and silver as money. So I will put all of those articles and all of those videos in the description section. It might take me a while because I have to answer some calls. People have been calling me since I've been online. Please forgive me for going on and on. There's so much information I have up in here. I love you all, family. Like the video, share the video, take clips from the video that you think are important and pass them on if you desire. And excuse me. I have a cold, I think. Thank you so much. Somebody said I look beautiful. I appreciate that. There's just so much that I really, you love universal. Yes, that I will to share with you all. But family, what we do know, I'm going to invite Chief Rod Hayes over here to talk to us. Hi, Jeremy. Hey, I thought that was Jeremy. That's Jerry. Hi, Jerry, right? I'm going to have Chief Rod Hayes here to talk about history because histories, they lied to us. Most of us did not come here from African slave ships. What actually happened is that we were here as, what do you call it, indentured servants, and maybe used as chattel slaves and in many ways, and then sent over to Africa, some of us, and then brought back and erroneously classified as slaves from Africa. But I don't, from what I study, I don't believe I don't believe that chattel slavery, the way we were told it actually occurred. It's hard for me to fathom that you brought hundreds of thousands of people from Africa to cross the Atlantic Ocean over here through all those dangerous waters. I just don't. And when many of us who have questioned that couldn't find slave ships, we know that a lot of us were already here from what our family members told us. And we looked at the records of our great, great, great grandparents. We saw that there's no trace back to Africa, that they were actually already here. And one of the books that will help you to know that for sure is, and I'm going to show if I can show you this map, is They Came Before Columbus. That book was written by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. And he talks about how there were people here before Columbus that were copper colored or tawny or dark skin or brown, and that some of those people had come here from Africa a long, long time ago. I don't know if he said they traveled here, how they traveled here, but basically, essentially, what he was saying is that these dark people were already here way before Columbus came. That's one of the books you want to look at. Stolen Legacy is another book. And I do have some books that were actually written by Europeans who came from Europe, who talked about the people that they found here and how those people, I'm looking for the ancient map, how those people were dark skinned, copper colored, tawny. Some of them had bones in their noses. They had nappy, kinky hair, high cheekbones. They were the so-called Black Americans or African Americans. But everything we've been told has been taught in reverse. And we know that the new books are being written. I don't want to say new books, but books with true history, telling the truth about history or herstory or our information and knowledge are being written and produced and will come out soon. What I'm looking for now, here we go, and I'm going to end with this. If I could bring it up, I have so many tabs up that I'm hoping I could bring it up. I'm looking for the ancient map. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm looking for the ancient map. So what these people in power wanted to do, they wanted to cause race wars between the so-called African Americans and our European brothers and sisters. And the reason they would do that, let me see if this is it. Nope, that's not it. The reason why they would do that is they could have genocide. And they would commit genocide and have just a whole slaughter of so-called white people, so-called Black people, Caucasians, and copper-colored people. By the way, the classification of white used to be the classification of the people that were here that owned land. That was not the classification of Europeans, but they switched everything around. So what they wanted to do was to have these slavery movies to say you all came from African slave ships and white people should feel guilty because their forefathers, beat you, raped you and all this, and you should feel like a victim forever and never, you can't pull yourself up by bootstraps because you don't have bootstraps and you got to live in the past. Now, I don't know about you, but you can tell what their agenda was by how incensed people become when you talk about slavery, critical race theory, and all these things, because they really, really desired to try to teach copper-colored people to hate people who have a lighter hue for what their forefathers allegedly did. Even if these people were like, but my forefathers never had slaves, they would still try to put in the minds of these indigenous brown people who are erroneously called Black or African American, you were a slave, and they produce these movies after movies after movie. You came from Africa. You're a slave. You're a slave. It's hard for you to get ahead. You can't make it. You'll never make it. It becomes then a self-fulfilling prophecy where then you always start to act like a victim. And I can talk on this. I feel like I have a right to talk on this. And I don't want my grandchildren learning that there's a victim, that they have a legacy of slavery, because that's a lie. And I don't want them learning to hate anybody for what a history book said their forefathers allegedly did. Because even if somebody's forefather allegedly did something, that has nothing to do with that person. What I want my grandchildren to do is judge people by their character, judge them by their personality and their character, by who they are, and not judge them by what a history book says or by what somebody in their bloodline may have done. Judge each person by his or her character and treat them as such. So I'm against critical race theory. This is Dr. Kia Pruitt talking. I'm against Hollywood producing slavery movie after slavery movie. I'm against all this racism, violence, and fighting, because again, their purpose for doing that was to cause a race war, so then they can cause us all to fight each other, kill each other off. And then these non-human beings that orchestrated all of this from the beginning will now have the planet to themselves. So we're waking up. We see them. We know them. We know that we're all sovereign. We know that we're all one. We're all God's creation. We know that we're one big family, and that we're standing together and working together to demolish this wicked, corrupt system, because we are one. And we have taken on the mantra, where we go one, we go all. If one of us become liberated, we're all liberated as a whole family. And that's why you see people from all over the world standing together. So in my conclusion, family, let me show you this. This is an Old Testament map, a ancient biblical map of ancient America. And it shows, I wish I could bring it up. It shows the American map. And what I'll do for you, I'm going to put this in the description section too. It shows that Israel was here. This is the ancient map, ancient American map. This was the Great Sea. Lebanon is right here. Look like that's California. Israel is here. You have Egypt over here. The Egyptian Sea. Again, ancient American map. Babylon and Mesopotamia, Elam, Assyria, and I can't see, land of the Philistines, I think it says up there. So where's Israel? Oh, Israel's right here. And Jerusalem is right there. So the cradle of civilization is also here. I don't know which area that would be. And here's the Red Sea. It says the Old Testament map of ancient America. So this is why I call this the cradle of civilization. And I say that this is what helps me to understand why the United Nations called so-called African Americans the oldest indigenous people on the planet. So that's it. That wraps up my lecture. I don't want to lecture it to you, but my talk for today. Originally, I wanted to come on just to talk to you about gold and how all the states are returning to the gold standard, and how behind the scenes they're most likely already on the gold standard. So even though 85% of the world has already dropped the United States dollar and turned to gold, you should know that America will not be left behind. In the meantime, while they're demolishing this system, please protect your assets however you desire. You can roll them over into precious metals. You can go to your local coin shop if you desire, because your local coin shop, if you go there, you can take the precious metals right into your possession. Or you can use the gentleman with whom I'm an affiliate, Andy Scheckman from Miles Franklin. You can contact Andy, info@milesfranklin.com or Andy@milesfranklin.com, and ask him for a list of inventories and prices. And he does weekly specials too. Let him know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you. That's promo code Dr. Kia Pruitt, and he promises the best prices in the industry. What else can I? Thank you so much. If precious metals is not something you want to add to your portfolio, then consider using your fiat dollars to put into, and I'm not a financial advisor. Consider putting your dollars into something that is safe, because the USD as we know it is plummeting to near zero and has lost 98% of its purchasing power. You know that when you go to the stores or to the gas pump, you see that the prices have gone way above what they should have. So please protect your assets, however you decide to do that. And at this time, family, I'm going to take a few minutes to answer questions. Then I'm going to drink my water and answer these phone calls with my phone been ringing off the hook. I wasn't going to stay on long tonight, but I got on a roll. So thank you all for indulging me and listening. Sam Walton, Henry Ford, and others, oh, they are to take over the world. It was very slow, intricate, executed plan. Thank you, Patriot Mom. You always give some great intel. I will put the states in the description section. How will we know for sure that gold is really there to back it? Because there are millions of tons of gold actually that was stored in the Grand Canyon. I'm glad you brought that up. Now, we already talked about how this is Egypt, this is Israel. In many parts of the Americans, in those mounds and pyramids are gold. And there are millions of tons of gold, of that gold stored in the Grand Canyon. You can look at Bix Weir's channel, Road, R-O-A-D, Taruta, R-O-O-T-A. He has a YouTube channel where he goes into detail about how there are millions of tons of gold stored in the Grand Canyon in those pyramids. You can go to roadtoruta.com or you can go to his YouTube channel. And he talks about how the Federal Reserve, which took us off the gold standard, actually had a plan to at some point return us to the gold standard. So you have gold stored in the Grand Canyon. You have Mr. Rodriguez, if you're here, is it Mr. Rodriguez or Mr. Lopez? You had talked to us about, I said that there were two trusts, the St. Germain Trust, and you brought up another trust, but I can't remember. But there are two very important trusts that's stored with gold that have been accumulating gold for a long time, hundreds of years, actually to liberate the people. So you have trusts, you have ancient dynasties, ancient Asian and Chinese dynasties, which is Asian. You have ancient indigenous dynasties, ancient African dynasties. They've all been storing up gold to liberate the planet. Now, you can even Google, is there gold in the Grand Canyon? You can, and you also need to know that most countries have massive amounts of gold, yes. And some of it's still in the ground. Everybody knows Africa is full of gold. So that continent alone probably has enough gold. But we also have gold here in America. You can look it up and see that there is a lot of gold, but they won't tell you exactly how much gold is where. And it's probably a good idea because you can never let the deep state know what you know or what you have hidden away. But I will tell you that the only person that has asked to see exactly what is in a Grand Canyon in terms of gold is President number 45. He's the only one who has ever asked for that list and to know how much gold was in there. And I believe he was told because he had the military, the white hats of the military, the Grand Army of the Republic backing him. It's been a secret that there are millions of tons of gold there. So we may not know exactly how much. That was an excellent question, but there is enough. One thing we know about the Creator is that when the Creator created the earth, the scripture says that the earth is abundant. So we just have to know it and be intuitive and kind of discern that and just trust that there's enough gold, because they're not going to tell you. You can Google it and you can get an estimation or a lie they will lie to you, but we know that there's enough gold. And if there were not enough gold, though, to back up all of the currencies, then what we, the people, would do is find another way to decentralize our lives. We will learn to barter with each other. We will learn to use our skills, gifts, and talents to do exchanges with each other. I'll let you glean from my garden or my farm in exchange for, let's see, you fixing my clothes, being a tailor or seamstress for my clothes. So we will find a way to navigate the system, which is why it's so important for us all to work together as one family, one soul family, one you can call us one human race, even though we are made up of different extraterrestrial races, they tell me, but we're all one. We're one of the universal laws is the law of oneness. We all came from source, we're all made of source, and we will all return to source. So that was an excellent question. um, Dr. Kia, she explained, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Not bored here. Okay, thank you so much. Gitmo is full, absolutely, and they will go bye-bye, be deleted. So thank you, Mom. She be my ancestor. Now, oh, who's your ancestor? Love, I love you so much, family. You're watching from the Bronx, New York. Awesome. I love New York. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. Oh, 45 coming down the escalator. There was when he came down the escalator. Was it on that show, or do you mean when he really came down the escalator? What's that show? The Simpsons, or when he really came down the escalator? They said on the wall it said currency exchange. Um, you're welcome. Thank you. God bless you too. It's all making sense now. Yeah, they wanted us all to have a race war family, so that we can kill each other, and then they wouldn't have to do it. And then they could have all the blood they needed. You know what they do with the blood? They could have all the loosh, LOOSH, that psychic energy that comes from your body when you're traumatized. That's what they feed on. Those entities that came here to enslave the planet, they could have all the loosh, all the blood, all the bodies they wanted if they just got us to fight each other and do what you call and commit genocide ourselves. That's what we were headed towards anyway, with all this hate and fighting each other, saying you're black, I'm white, you're this, I'm that. Those were all programs instilled within us so that they can divide and conquer us. Here's good read, the Moroccan American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's a good read, she said. So we need to all read that. History. Everything were taught was history. Oh, I missed some people giving in a super chat. I am so sorry. I apologize. How could I have missed you? Let me see. I thank you so much. I completely, somebody said, we got this. I completely missed you. I want to see if I could find your name because I missed a lot of chats. The evil empire drove us to believe this stuff. It's time for critical thinking with logic and common sense. Thank you for that. All right, so I missed the super chat. Ralph Angle gave a super sticker of $50. I wish I could put it here. I don't see it in the chat, but I can see it at the top of the chat, which means when you sent it, I missed it. Thank you so much. Creator bless you with long life, peace, and prosperity. I love you all, family. I know we've been on for a while. So yeah, we were worthless to them. Just food source. They just wanted to eat us, have us fighting each other, having us getting rid of each other, the absolute truth. So that, they didn't have to do it. We were doing it all for them. It's about a person's character. Yes, I agree. And I think I see us moving towards that time when we're looking at people for who they are, for their character, and not judging them based on their complexion. It just doesn't make sense to judge somebody because of their skin complexion. It's all about character. Yes, they were part of the deep state and they must go. There are 3 types. Your grandson has a type of muscular dystrophy and autism. So yes. So we're the same people, different tribes. Thank you, CD City. I love that. Thank you. Yes. They were all distractions to feed off so they can eat our loosh. Absolutely. But it's time to focus on a 5D and higher reality. It's time to ascend to the corona or the golden era. They were speaking in codes. So when they were talking about the CORONA, notice that when they first came out with it, that's what they called it. But they were really talking to each other because it's a banking code for gold. And they were really saying that we're moving to a gold standard behind the scenes. And that's why they changed the name of that sickness from CORONA to the CV. And now they only say CV and they don't use the other. So what they were talking about was us moving to a gold standard, which is symbolic of us moving to a golden era and ascending in consciousness, as in crown. See, CORONA means crown, as in gold, as in ascending to a royal status, as in ascending to a higher state of consciousness, 5D reality and above, as in we're all moving emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, energetically to a golden era, to a new, amazing, beautiful reality, which is one of precious metals, one of being regal, being gods, because even the scripture says you are gods. And some people don't know that, but the scriptures literally say you are gods. We are actually the vehicle through which God or source experiences this reality. So thank you for that. They were distracting us so they can feed off our louche or our psychic energy. Religion did a lot of damage to some people, and that it caused division. If you're not a Christian, you're going to hell. If you don't follow Allah, something's wrong with you. Now, I'm not speaking again. I don't mean to speak against any religion. I practice them all. Okay. I was even Hare Krishna at one time. My mama had us practicing, studying everything. So I know the song, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'm not speaking against any religion. I've also practiced Buddhism. So what I'm saying is, when you start, instead of looking at the spiritual principles of what the ancients were trying to tell us, but you focus on only certain rules and programs, it will divide you. So we all must know and understand that we're all one big family. We're all from source. Thank you, Sister Shirley. Sunrise. Where we go one, we go all. We were enslaved together, and we will be liberated together. The evil empire drove us to believe that stuff. It's time for critical thinking. Yes. So where is the Nile River on that map? I don't know. I'm going to bring it to you because they show Egypt on that map. I'm going to show it to you so that you can look it up, okay? You live where somebody was born? Okay. Much history here. Also, his parents, they were white. I don't know who are you talking to? You were talking to somebody. You're talking to Sister Teresita. Now, well-advanced planet we are, yes. Where can we find a statement from the United Nations? I'll look for that. I do have the Washita website that I could put in there. Make sure you put that in the comment section for me to remind me, or email me, kiapruitt@gmail.com. Now, I'm getting flooded with email, family, so it's taking me longer now to go through those emails, but I'm going to do a specific email just for this channel because I do have a website of the Washita people, and I think it's on that website. So I will look for that ancestral gifts. We are one within many, many within one creator. Any questions before we leave? Very good comments. Thank you for your wisdom. Very good content. Thank you, Sunrise. Creator bless you. Oh, I'm so happy I'm not boring you. I know I have a tendency to get long-winded. So that I appreciate for. I apologize for, but at the same time, I thank you so much for your wonderful compliment. Why would the United States be additionally there then? I don't know where you're talking about, my darling. You're welcome. Oh, I'm so glad, Baja girl. Thank you. Thank you. Ecstatic Earth. Thank you. Now, the now is the Mississippi River. Thank you, Miss Stephen Dove. Miss Dove, thank you so much. I have heard that the now was the Mississippi River. So that's true. Thank you. Wow. We're learning so much. We're teaching each other and sharing with each other. Miles Franklin is the greatest. Thank you. Miles Franklin, for those who desire it, is the company that Andy Schectman owns. He is the CEO. They're now approaching $9 billion in sales. They've been in business for 33 years. They have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Some people get mad at me for talking about Miles Franklin, but listen, if I'm your friend, I'm your friend. I honor Andy Scheckman and I respect what he does as a businessman. I respect the fact that he owns a multi-billion-dollar company, but he takes the time to come on our channel and talk to us about precious metals, and he runs himself, till he's tired, exhausted, going to different people's platforms talking about this. Not He doesn't have to do that. He doesn't need to talk to us to sell precious metals. He literally has billionaires to contact him and billionaires. So if I'm your friend and I trust you and I believe in you, baby, you got a friend indeed. So I don't make a lot of money. And I was talking to Mel Carmine about this. We were talking about, he was saying, if you don't want me to make, a $15, $16, $100 for what I sell, then I understand. I don't know what to tell you. That's what Mel was saying. I was like, I know it's not like we make a lot of money. We do it because we're passionate about it. So, if you're my friend and I respect you and I know you have an A+ business rating, you've never had one complaint, you've treated me well like a friend, you come on my channel, you own a multi-billion-dollar company and you answer the phone when I call, and I've spoken to your wife, you're a real human being, you care about the people, I'm going to support you. Again, if you're interested in rolling over your assets or rolling over your IRA into a gold IRA, or you're interested in adding precious metals to your portfolio, give Andy a call, info@milesfranklin.com, MILESFRANKLIN.com, or Andy@milesfranklin.com, and ask him for a list of inventories and prices. He'll take your order, he or his brokers. I'm not even a broker, so I don't make broker money. I don't think people understand. You get a small percentage when you're an affiliate. All the brokers have to get paid, the company has to get paid, and then you're paid a percentage. But it's not like it's paying a bill, a mortgage. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying that because I'm not enriching myself. I really, really love people. And if you don't know it, I don't know what to say. I've been doing this for years for free. I didn't get one penny. I didn't even get on YouTube. I was on other social media platforms. And when I came on YouTube, I was not monetized. It took years to build up to monetization. And even when I was able to monetize, they demonetized my platform because of the things about which I speak. I love people. I came to the planet to liberate humanity. I know who I am. I stand in my purpose. I'm a very confident woman. I am very courageous. I'm not scared of anybody, any Illuminati, any devil. I'm just not. I'm just going to tell the truth. I love humanity and I've come to help, just like you all have humanity. So if you desire to roll your fiat into precious metals or to add precious metals into your portfolio, you can contact your local coin dealer or you can contact Andy Scheckman, info@milesfranklin.com. Use promo code Dr. Kia Pruitt or just say Dr. Kia Pruitt referred me and you will get the best prices, family. Why they put you down to lower your self-esteem? Oh no. So yes, the Mississippi River. Mississippi is the Nile River. Thank you. I'm doing my best. I love you all so much. Gold and silver have never been worthless. And as a matter of fact, they're recognized as money all over the world. All right. We are indeed the Middle East. Wow. It's been said, she said. My other countries, other researchers. Oh, thank you, Cindy. I appreciate you. Thank you, James. I'm so happy to hear that. We saw Israel. One more time. Let's bring up Israel. We're just chit-chatting and answering questions. So if you have to go get something to eat, get something to drink, we get it. Please go ahead. Oh, here we go. So let's look at, somebody asked, where's Israel? I'm not able to blow it up over here. Hold on, but I'll put it in the description section. Israel is this area. So I think California's right here. What's right? Is this Utah? What's right next to is this is Israel. Somebody let us know what that area is right here. So this is California, I think. And this here is, I wish I could blow it. It won't blow up. I'm gonna give you all that back. Oh, I need to go get rid of this stuff out of my throat. So Israel is right here. What area is that, family? I don't know. Somebody tell me. Yes, I heard that they were all gold at the same time, but some people believe that a basket of currencies are going to be able to go first. But the reason why I say they're going to all go at the same time is because we see all of the countries have gone back to the gold standard at the same time. That's what we've been waiting on. We've been waiting on the republics of the world to be restored, the deep state to be taken down, the republics to be restored, and the return of the gold standard. So we already see arrests going on back to back, many of which have occurred years ago or months ago, but they're just coming to the forefront to people or being brought to people's attention because they feel that we are able to digest it now, because you can't just give it to them all at once. So we know that people have been arrested. We know that people have been judged at Guantanamo Bay and had their assets frozen. We know that republics are being restored all over the world because those deep state actors have been removed and a lot of new people have been put in place, such as al-Sudani of Iraq. You see new people coming online. There was a new president put in the place of the guy who was over in Zimbabwe, all over the world, actually. So we know that the deep state has been taken down, or it's still happening right now. We know all the world has returned to the gold standard. I've talked about at length how over 85% of the world population have returned to gold. And the last remaining faction, United States, Mexico, and parts of Canada that were still trading with the USD behind the scenes, we see that they have returned to gold and or introducing bills as late. I think the latest was all the way up until January 2023, introduced and or passed bills to make gold to be used as legal tender, or to repeal state taxes on bullion, gold, and silver, which essentially makes gold to be able to be used as money. So when that happens, all currencies will revalue to their proper state. Now, people have taken issue with al-Sudani and people reporting that al-Sudani said he would reinstate the Iraqi dinar to its normal value, which is $3.48. Some people are saying, oh, that's too much, it'll never happen. But actually, it will revalue a lot higher than that. People are not taking into consideration all the resources that are backing the Iraqi dinar. So he's returning it to its natural state, which was $3.48. But you're going to see that keep inching higher. Watch me, read my lips. The Iraqi dinar and all these currencies are going to go higher and higher and higher in value because al-Sudani had his gold returned back to him. He mentioned it in October. I'm working to end endemic corruption, to fight and end endemic corruption. And I think I reported on that again yesterday. I'm working with other countries to return my stolen money. Remember, gold and silver is money, to return my gold. And I am revaluing the IQD, our dinar, our currency, against the United States dollar. So he returned his money. He's worked with other countries to return his money. That, along with the gold that was stolen from him and the gold that was sent to the Vatican, because remember, the Vatican owned the United States corporation. So the United States corporation usurped authority and usurped the power of the Republican of America. They did it all over the world. And they sent the gold to the Vatican and other places. So when he returned his gold, that alone could back up his dinar to increase the value. But let's also consider other resources that country has that will increase the value of the dinar. So mark my word, it would be a lot higher than $3.48. It was going to be closer to $100. It sounds astronomical, but watch. So when that happens, when gold is returned to all of the countries and you consider all of the resources that are backing the country's currencies, they're going to revalue at a very high rate, and they will be 1-to-1. That was the Project Sandman Agreement, and that was the rule according to NASARA, the National Economic Security and Reformation Act, and the global version of that, the Global Economic Security and Reformation Act. So we see all the countries dump the dollar at the same time and return to gold at the same time. So then their currencies will revalue at the same time, which leads me to think that yes, they will revalue at the same time and be able to go 1-to-1 at the same time. When we can go to the banks to exchange which notes or which currencies or which bonds, I don't know. I don't know an exact date. But what we're hearing from other channels now, I don't typically follow gurus. What I mean by gurus is people say you're going to go tomorrow, and I got a call from my banker that that money is moving. I just don't know many of them to follow. Because the old school ones that I used to follow, I found out a lot of them were felons. They've gotten out of prison. They were committing fraud. They stole people's currency. So I stopped following them. So the new ones, I don't know what they're saying about dates. What I do know is that nobody knows exact dates of when you can exchange your currencies. And if anybody did know, they would be high up in the military. And if they told those exact dates, then they would be brought on charges of treason. So anybody saying, I know it's going to be January the 15th, 2024, if they know and that is the true date, they're going to prison because that's top secret intel. So I don't know the exact date. I can only tell you we know it will happen when the corruption is ended and the deep state is demolished, when the republics are restored, which we see happening right now, and when there's an official return to the gold standard. And we already know, we've reproduced article after article and listened to and read announcement after announcement of how these countries have returned to the gold standard. And then this today, for all of you that are just joining, if you want to hear how we know that the United States of America is secretively either on the gold standard or almost there, then look at the first part of this video where I share the information about the 13 states that are originally introduced and or passed legislation to define gold and silver as legal tender. But then I produced articles that said that there were states that were bringing up resolutions to stop taxes on gold and silver, because when you stop the taxes on gold and silver, that then causes gold and silver to be used as and deemed as lawful money. So that's in the first part. That's an excellent question. Yes, I believe they'll revalue at the same time. I just don't know if we'll be able to go to the banks and exchange at the same time. So hopefully we can get gold and silver after people can after they exchange, because a lot of people don't even have the money right now to get gold and silver, and I understand that. Thank you. Oh, Paula, thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Someone said, what? When do you, we are, I believe we're very close. I don't know a date. Andy is great. Look up Buttonwoods, New Hampshire. Is it Buttonwoods or Brettonwoods, New Hampshire? Andy is, again, Andy Schechtman is the CEO of Mile Franklin. We call him the gold guru, or the gold CEO. Lincoln was white. He was born in Hodgeville. Been to many of the museums. I don't know. You must mean Caucasian. I don't know if he was light colored European or if he was actually copper colored, because I've heard both, and I've actually seen pictures of a brown one. So I don't know. Yeah, everything we told. Big Swear is fire. This is how you spell him. So you can Google Big Swear. You can go to his channel, Road to Ruta. He talks a lot about silver. He talks a lot about how the Federal Reserve had put us on the fiat-based system, and how they really plan to, at the right time, return us to the gold standard. So you all need to check him out. I wish I could get him on the channel. If y'all ever get in contact with him, tell him Dr. Kia Pruitt wants to get him on her channel so he can talk to us about Ruta's plan to return us to the gold standard. Okay, family. I had an earlier show today that was real short. So for all of you who are getting tired and think that I can't do something short, I did it today. Yeah, I do think, I feel that we will recover from this war. I really do. Rodriguez Trust. Thank you, Trash Dog. We had two trusts. The St. Germain Trust and the Rodriguez Trust were two trusts that are stored with gold to help offset the debt and to liberate humanity. Big Swear, Road to Ruta. There you go, Ralph Engel. Thank you so much, Creator. Bless you. All right, I think that's it. Ralph, you gave me two. You gave me more. Wow, you gave me two offerings or more. Thank you so much, Creator. Bless you. I really appreciate you all. I am just so honored that you all send me offerings. That means so much to me. Thank you. Technologies will be released under Nasara. Yes. Am I going over the same things over and over? Oh, I had to refresh it. So if that's it, family, Christ consciousness, yes, that's your highest state of consciousness, rising up to Christos consciousness, spiritual thinking. Tara is going 3D. Some people say Earth is called Tara. Okay, we've been on a long time, I'm sure. Let's see. I'm trying, I can't get all the way down. Every time I try to, okay. So silver will soar very soon because new technologies are coming out and those new technologies use silver. So listen, I love gold and I really love silver because gold has historically been used as money and jewelry. Silver has been used as money and is used in all these technologies and new technologies that are coming out that will be released. We also have silver receptors in our brain. So scientists have come up with different treatment modalities based on silver since we have silver receptors in our brain. Silver is also used for industrial purposes. Your computers have silver, your phones have silver, your refrigerators and stoves and dishwashers and washers and dryers, they all have silver. You have silver in palladium and platinum in your catalytic converter in your car. Silver has more purposes than gold. Silver is more rare than gold. There is more gold up above the ground than silver. Silver is just a byproduct. I mean, you can mine silver, but it's also a byproduct of other metals. So silver will actually value higher than gold, in my opinion. And like Nancy is saying, the value was soar. So get into silver and gold while you can. The prices are going down. People keep asking why, because really, as the dollar decreases in value, silver and gold increase in value. So what I see is two things going on. Either they're rigging the markets and they're playing with the prices so that you can be fooled and not know that gold and silver are real money, and or the creator is allowing us to wake up and use this as an opportunity to buy. Yes, with everything that's going on bad, always look for the opportunities. This is an opportunity for you to get into it if you can. Silver is feminine, gold is masculine. Gold is related to the moon, the sun. Silver is related to the moon. Silver is feminine and gold is masculine. Thank you. Look at all these very smart people here. Silver is feminine, gold is masculine. And you hear a lot of people saying that the reason why silver is about to explode is because you see, this is a resurrection of the divine feminine. All I mean by that is the feminine energies. That's not necessarily saying a woman. It's feminine energies, loving energies, nurturing energies, kind energies, soft energies. All those peaceful, harmonious energies are now flooding the planet. So that's why they say silver is related to the moon, but also they say silver was first mined on the moon. Okay. And it's always been manipulated, either good or bad, precious metals. Yes. Oh, you've always worn silver. So we're just talking now, family. We know that yes, this is a good buying opportunity. So behind a dark cloud, there's always a silver lining. So look at this. Hi Northern Maine, as an opportunity. Balance. Yes, we had a lot of masculine energies on the planet, and now we need balance, which is why we see feminine energies coming on the planet. Car manufacturers use up to 55 million tons of silver per year. That's over 3 million pounds. Imagine when these new technologies come out and they really, really need silver. Okay, hey, you all that have it will be happy you got into it now before the prices soar. The divine feminine is going to return. Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. JD or JPM, felonies unchecked. Yes, JPM Morgan. I don't know who JD is for sure, but yes, they've committed felonies. Somebody said, look up their nephew. Derek said, look up their nephews. Who? He's talking to Karen. Look up his nephew in Maine. Welcome, Karen. We're happy to have you here. Oh, you're welcome. Oh, they say Musk was a dark hat. He was into bad things. Ah, you're welcome. Oh, thank you so much, Catfish. I really appreciate you. Now's the time to buy precious metals if you can. Buy 1 ounce of silver or 1 gram of gold. Get what you can. Go to your local coin shop. Just Google coin shop near me or numismatics near me. Those are collective coins. And if you don't do that, go to Miles Franklin, info@milesfranklin.com, and ask him, let Andy or his brokers know that you are interested in precious metals. And, just let him know that. He'll send you a price list. And if you need help ordering, because sometimes when you look at the list, you might say, I don't know which one to get. You can even say, look, can a broker call me? Here's my number. I need help deciding what to get. Or you can say, this is how much money I desire to spend. Based on the money that I desire to spend and what type of metals I desire, can you help me come up with which ones I should get? So they will help you. Use promo code Dr. Kia Pruitt. You're welcome. Let her know that Dr. Kia Pruitt referred you, because Andy promised us on this channel he would give us the best prices, and he has excellent customer service. It's the time to buy, even if it's just a 1 ounce of gold. Oh, silver was the first money before gold. Thank you, Sister Lorinda. Oh, JP, he sunk the Titanic. Wow. That's why all those bankers who believed in so all the bankers who believed in the gold standard, or who were proponents of gold and silver as money, were on the Titanic. So JP Morgan sank it. Thank you. The CEO of JP Morgan is JD. Thank you. This is who you should call if you desire. Hi, Beach Nut, to add precious metals to your portfolio. Somebody said, woof, woof. Hi, woof, woof. Good to see you. Miles Franklin is often a guest on Mark Z. Yes. And he's a guest on Bix Weir's channel, Road to Ruta. And he's a guest on Liberty and Finance as well. Pre-1964 coins contain 90% silver. So if you're not able to get an ounce of silver, or a quarter ounce, or half an ounce, or grams of silver shots, then get pre-1964 silver, because that's 90% silver. Silver is now selling for $29 an ounce, Nancy said. Somebody said they're going to keep watching the Forex. And Debt Jubilee is coming soon. We were online the other day, and person after person was talking about the debts that they had canceled. I mean, bank loans, credit cards, IRS debt. I mean, person after person were just coming in the chat. Like, I had this discharge, debt free. I mean, debt completely canceled. The Jubilee is here. So that's it, family. Somebody said you can also buy junk silver or constitutional silver. That's pre-1964 silver from Andy Sheckman. They said, who is that? Let me see. I don't want you all to think I'm making this up. Somebody just said, oh, I lost you that quick. Somebody said you can buy that from Andy Sheckman as well. So pre-constitutional silver coins that were minted before 1964 have 90% silver in them. You can buy that from Andy Sheckman. Woof, woof, woof. Hi, woof, woof. Good to see you. Junk silver is change. Absolutely. It's real money. So that's it, family. I've answered all the questions I think that I see in the chat. You all know where to get exotic currencies from, right? Great American Coin Company, 100 trillions, the 100 trillions, plural.com, Amazon.com, eBay.com, banknoteworld.com, safedinar.com. Those are places from which you can get exotic currencies, or not just exotic currencies, but, foreign currencies. Oh, that's awesome, Derek. So I guess you all are. He said he loves the interaction in the room. Great job. You're welcome. It's my pleasure. You all are doing a great job talking to each other. I love it. Somebody said they're keeping in touch with their feminine side. I guess I'm in touch with my feminine side. I like silver better, and I'm a man. That's all right, because we both have both energies for sure. When silver hit $25, it was supposed to run up to 60. Wow. Well, what I want to get your comments. Thank you. Silver ounces 29 when spot is 24. Real. So spot price is only the market price. Then you have a price above that, so which is a premium, which is the price that it costs to do business, and also any numismatics value of that coin is added. So you have a spot price or market price, $24. The market price is the price that is going, the spot price is the market price that is going for all over the nation. That's just one price, but you always have a premium above that. The price, the cost of doing business, and any numismatics or collector's value on that particular coin. Thank you. Somebody still have their Vietnamese dong and Iraqi dinar. So unselfish with it. Oh, thank you so much for the acknowledgement, Kay Dozier. It is my great pleasure. You know, my concern is that I bore you. I'm trying not to bore you or go too long. And some people will tell me, Key, I cannot stay to watch these long videos, and I understand that, or even rewind. So here's a hack. If going back to listen to the when you rewind is, it's too long, go to the video and click on speed, and you can go to normal, or you can go 1.25 speed or 1.5 speed or 1.75, or even you can double the speed at 2 and it'll speed it up for you. Colloidal silver projects are made of tiny silver bits that float in a liquid. This is the same type of precious metals used in jewelry, dental fillings, and silverware. Thank you, Kwame. I appreciate that education. You can take colloidal silver and it actually allegedly attacks viruses upon contact, which is why people were taking that during the shutdown. I don't believe he always says there's no Nezra or Jezra. But he's coming from a banking perspective. He knows a lot of financial information. So all the conspiracy stuff, he may feel like it could be true. He just says it's not going to happen. But he is the type of person that's more likely to talk about what we would call facts, or more likely to talk about what we do know, like about gold, silver, things that he can prove historically. Nasar and Jasar is something that's relatively new and kind of on the conspiracy side, people would say. And because there's not any law that we can see on the books, some people that have worked on the banking side are a little uncomfortable saying that that's real. So I've heard him say there'll be no Nezra, Jezra. That's what he calls it. So I don't know if he's changed his thinking. We should ask him. I would love to have him on my show, because I just love Big Square. I'm a fan of his. Silver is less abundant. All right. Therefore, and is there high demand for something that's less abundant? That means that the price is about to shoot through the roof, because high demand and low supply, yep, the price is about to shoot through the roof. Derek Arnold, you're awesome, Kay Dozier says. Okay, Big says no Nasara. Okay. Yeah, we each have our own opinions, don't we? And our own thoughts about things. When you find silver, they're mining silver actually in Nevada right now, and Mexico. Mexico, I think, is one of the largest silver mines. Other than that, you can find silver at milesfranklin.com. You can find, milesfranklin.com, but email them, because they're updating the website, info@milesfranklin.com. Go to your local coin dealer, and or you can actually Google. You can Google precious metals companies near me. All right, family. Now I know CBD disinfo, Mark C said that would happen. Okay, you guys are talking to each other. All right, family. Nasara might be called something else and better. That's right. I hope that you all have gained something from this long dissertation. It's my pleasure to always serve you. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. It's my joy and my great pleasure to commune with you all, family members. I should come on one day just to answer questions and just for us to have a conversation. I just like to start off with giving you some type of news or information that you can take away when we leave the chat. and do some deep diving yourself. So always remember that I leave the sources that I use, the videos and any of the articles. I leave them. Oh, you're late. Oh, we'll do you can do the replay. I know we covered so much, Kathy. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you, Patriot Mom, for all your help and your love. So I always leave those things in the. You didn't get that. Oh, Captain Switch, I'm sorry. I always leave those things in. What I want to do, Captain Switch, is I want to try to come up with a specified time that's consistent every day. I haven't come up with that yet. I will in the next month, okay? So that everybody knows when to come. I'm gonna leave those articles in the description section. Wow, so that you all can go back and read them and rehearse them for yourselves. Sometimes it take me a couple of hours to do that because I might run and go eat or do something with the grandchildren or put them to bed or anything, something else, and then come back and put those. And then sometimes I'll put them in the description section, push save, and come back and they're gone. So I have to do it all over again. So please be patient with me. As the song says, please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet. When God gets through with me, when God gets through with me, I shall come forth. I shall come forth as pure gold. Studies have shown that silver has antibacterial and antimicrobial properties, which means it could destroy bacteria, fungi, and certain viruses. Child, let me start wearing more silver. You're all so wonderful and so awesome. Thank you, Sister Vicky. I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. Thank you so much. There's silver at your home. Free energy. Yes. Oh, you missed me this morning. We were talking about motu proprio, which was a letter that was written by, thank you, Vicky, by Pope Francis to Obama, saying that their time was up. The deep state in the United States Incorporation, it was up. They had to be dismantled. They were to cease and desist. And if they didn't, General Ham, who was a general that would be over the army, the Grand Army of the Republic, would take down the deep state, arrest these people that were in power, confiscate all their assets, and send them off to other places like Puerto Rico and Guam and any other countries that will have them, basically. And then in the conclusion, he talked about how African Americans have been used as chattel property to pay off debt from the war. But since then, the United States Corporation actually, after they allegedly ended chattel slavery, actually expanded slavery to include enslaving humanity. Now, he didn't say how, but we know the way they did that was by taxing us and doing all these loans and charging high interest rates and making us pay for everything. So it was an excellent letter. And particularly, I thought it was interesting that he said, if we don't cease and desist, then the army will take us down. And then we talked about how gold and silver have actually been, legislation has been passed to make illegal tender in many states. We only knew of 13 states in America, but then in 2022, there were 41 states that had no taxes on bullion, no taxes on silver and gold, which is important because the article says essentially, when you have no taxes, then you're saying that silver and gold can be used as money, and you're recognizing silver and gold as money. So then after that, we came up with the articles, and we were like, okay, 41 states have no, almost all states, well, 41 states have no taxes. Which states still have taxes? And we came up with a list of that so you can see where your state is. Now, even some of those that have taxes, they have taxes on some silver, some precious metals, not others. So 41 states actually have no taxes. But then we looked at an article that said in 2023, most of those states that did have taxes on bullion actually introduced legislation to remove state taxes from the bullion, which then would make precious metals legal tender. So we are this is Dr. Kia Pruitt speaking, on the gold standard behind the scenes. As far as the normies know, we're coming. Most of them don't know. Most people don't know about it. I shouldn't call them normies. The masses are not aware of a gold standard, and those that don't know that most countries have returned to the gold standard, and they truly don't know that America is moving towards the gold standard. That's why you had House Resolution 5404 being introduced under 45 in 2018 by Alexander Mooney, a Republican representative of West Virginia in 2018. And then he brought forth the Gold Standard Restoration Act in October 2022 to define the dollar as a fixed weight in gold, because he was preparing us for the return of the gold standard. So many nice people on this space, so respectful and have honor for each other. Donna says she loves it. Family, you all are amazing. Yeah, whatever they don't want us to talk about, that's important. Oh yeah, right. We are only guessing why it sank, the Titanic sank. Gerald Clemente, he believes. He wrote, what is the name of his article? Oh man. Oh my. I love he has a newsletter, The Trends. Right. Isn't that Gerald Salente? He comes on YouTube and he has a newsletter called The Trends, I believe. I love listening to him. Hi, Alabama. You're really close to us. Tesla patents use silver. Silver's about to explode. You hear that, family? It is about to explode. So, yes, Trump never left. Absolutely. He is just not in the forefront. That's why he's walking around giving all these speeches like he's the president, because you finish the rest of that sentence. The normies are in deep hypnosis. We're waking them up. We're waking the people up. All right, family. I am so tired. I'm so honored that you took the time out to listen to this long discussion. I appreciate you. I love you so much. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope that I've said something to raise your vibrations and to encourage you and inspire you to create the most magnificent, abundant life that you desire and deserve. I hope you all will continue chatting with each other. We need to have an email list. I want to do that at some point so we can stay in contact with each other and encourage each other and help each other along the way as we move towards the time to exchange on these currencies. So good night, family. I love you all so very much. Baker Trump was not making ventilators. I love you all so much, so very much. Thank you. You're amazing. I appreciate you, Sister Leanne. You all are just so beautiful. Yes, that is my commander in chief. If I say he's my, you know what, President, you know who would get mad? YouTube. Oh, Jason, I don't know what's happening with that right now. I'll look into it. Love and light to you all, family. You all are amazing. Thank you. And you are blessing to each other. You support me. You love me. You encourage me. Thank you. You inspire me. And you are love. You're sharing love and light and help for all of our soul family in the chat. Namaste, family. I love you. Have a good evening. Peace. Make this a great night. And please, family, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace. I love you too. Thank you so very much. Good night, family.